Chapter 107. When Qin Zhanghua got close to Kai Zongming, Lu Qing couldn't help but cover his eyes, as if he could already imagine what was going to happen next. Little Ming was indeed talented, but he had always been slacking. Not to mention that he had not participated in the special martial arts training before, he had only attended 1 or 2 martial arts classes 3 times a week. Under such circumstances, even if Geyser taught the first part of the 24 blizzard strikes to the other members, it would only enrich his fighting style and not improve his strength. It would only help him to maintain the strength of amateur 5th pin and increase it slightly. If he were to encounter a professional-level master like Qin Zhanghua, no matter how good his mouth was, the result would be predictable. Sure enough, Lu Qing couldn't bear to look at Kai Zongming being pressed to the ground by Qin Zhanghua, like a girl being ravaged by a strong man. It was extremely tragic. Don't laugh, don't laugh. Lu Qing kept warning himself and put on a sympathetic posture to welcome Kai Zongming's return. Damn, it's like being raped. Talker, who was at a loss, still mercilessly made fun of himself. Can't help it. Lu Qing chuckled in a low voice and looked at Casanova's sad eyes for a while before calming down. He said with a serious face, "Now do you understand the value of practicing day after day? With your talent, it won't be a big problem for you to reach amateur 3rd or 4th pin after a semester of special training. Do you understand now? Do you know it's time to practice martial arts?" Yes. If King want to quit the martial arts club now. After this battle, my handsome and dashing image is completely gone. Kai Zongming sighed and said with a hopeless expression, "Fortunately, it's the special training now and only a few of you saw it. Otherwise, I'd be too ashamed to face anyone." Lu Qing pretended to be serious and said, "As the saying goes, 1 spreads to 10, and 10 spreads to 100. We have more than 10 people here." Kai Zongming was stunned and said, "Just strangle me." At this time, Geyser coughed twice and said, "Yes, after the special training last semester, you guys have made significant progress. Some of you have even improved a few pins. But don't be complacent. It's nothing strange in the amateur ranks. Well, I announce the 3rd main force of the preliminaries. Sun Jian, you have to practice hard and strive to reach amateur 1st pin as soon as possible. The substitutes are Li Mao, Lin Hua, Yan Zhika, and Guo Qing. Everyone else, continue to work hard." Hearing this, Lu Qing couldn't help but look at Yan Zhika again. His eyes were full of joy, and he wanted to congratulate her for making it into the preliminaries team. Yan Zhika also looked at him. She lifted her chin slightly and looked happy. When their eyes met, the atmosphere was harmonious and warm. Geyser continued, "From today onwards, I'll teach you the rest of the 24 blizzard strikes. Guo Qing, your temperament isn't very suitable for this style of fighting. In order not to waste your strength and talent, I'll teach you a new boxing style which is known for its strength and fierceness. It's called Mountain Moving Fist. Although the 24 blizzard strikes is also known for its fierceness, its kung fu is delicate in its subtleties, state of mind, and perception. These are all your weaknesses. We have to hide our weaknesses and show our strengths, right? Coach, sure, I'll listen to you." Guo Qing replied energetically. Losing to Yan Zhika made Guo Qing a little depressed. After all, Yan Zhika's strength was obviously not as good as hers last semester. But in just a few months, her achievements in the 24 blizzard strikes were surpassed by Yan Zhika. How could she be happy? When Coach said that it was because she wasn't suitable for it, Guo Qing smiled again, which made Yan Zhika secretly relieved. Lu Qing couldn't be more familiar with the content of the latter part of the 24 blizzard strikes. With his proficiency, he was able to teach others. But he still listened attentively and watched very carefully. As for the lesson that Coach gave to Guo Qing, he also listened attentively. It was not a bad thing to master more kung fu. Even if he didn't focus on it, he could still enrich his own fighting style. If he really mastered it, he might be able to restrain the enemy with Mountain Moving Fist. Still stance practice, training routine, deduction of fighting style, strength training, footwork training. Time flew quickly in the atmosphere of concentration. In the end, it was still the practice of practicing moves. Except for Kai Zongming, who gave it to Chen Zhanghua, all the combinations were the same. But Lu Cheng and Li Mao's roles were reversed. It was Lu Cheng who practiced the moves and helped Li Mao master the latter part of the 24 blizzard strikes. In the process, he also learned a lot. From a different perspective, he could see many problems that he had neglected before. Li Mao was like a mirror, reflecting some of his bad fighting habits one by one. Tempering was not only about tempering, but also about hammering. Through continuous hammering, the impurities were forced out little by little in order to achieve perfection. This was one of the methods. When it was close to noon, Gizershur announced the end of today's special training. Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming gathered together, nervously looking at Yan Zhika's figure. "Why are you so nervous?" Kai Zongming looked at him with disdain. Lu Cheng took a breath and said, "I'm going to ask her when she's free. I'm going to ask her whether the 14th or 16th is better. The 14th is Valentine's Day. Will it be too direct? Will it cause any bad reaction?" Kai Zongming laughed and said, "What's there to be nervous about? But if you keep your nervous state and ask her, the effect may be better." "Why?" Lu Cheng was puzzled. In this field, Kai Zongming was qualified to be his professor. Kai Zongming spread his hands and said, "Think about it. A calm and fierce young expert who just shook the world in the arena is nervous and uneasy because of you. How cute is this contrast? I bet that most girls will like this. Damn, you even know how to use the word cute." Lu Cheng thought carefully and felt that it was very reasonable, but he did not admit defeat. Kai Zongming smiled proudly and said, "I'm a veteran of the internet." Lu Cheng plucked up his courage and walked quickly to Yan Zhika. When he was in front of her, Guo Qing snickered and said, "Here you go again. You can talk. I won't disturb you." With a swoosh, Lu Cheng felt that he was probably blushing. He instinctively operated the condensation stance, trying to suppress his emotions. But when he saw Yan Zhika's pretty face also blushing, which contrasted with her jade-like skin, he felt a buzz in his head. The condensation stance he just used was smashed into pieces. Yan Zhika's beautiful eyes sparkled and she spat, "Don't listen to Qing's nonsense. Yes, yes." Lu Cheng nodded repeatedly and blurted out nervously, "I've chosen several delicacies in Songcheng. I'm going to try them this afternoon and confirm one. Do you think you're free on the 14th or 16th? Just when he finished, he wanted to slap himself again. Didn't Casanova say that he should wait for Yan Zhika to ask and then mention it casually? Why did he say it directly? No matter how good the plan is, it can't withstand the impromptu performance. On time. Taste the food. Yan Zhika repeated in a low voice. Her dimples were faintly discernible. She pursed her lips and glanced at the expectant and nervous Lu Cheng with a smile in her eyes. She muttered to herself, 14th, 14th. Suddenly, she lowered her head to avoid Lu Cheng's eyes. Her ponytail swayed and her cheeks were still red. Seeing this, a poem flashed in Lu Cheng's mind again. It was the tenderness of lowering one's head, like the shyness of a lotus flower in the cold wind. After spending so much time with Yan Zhika, my literary attainment seems to have improved. When he was trying to ease his anxiety with self-mockery, Yan Zhika said softly, "I'm afraid the 14th can't work. I have classes in the afternoon and evening. How about Saturday? I have nothing to do except martial arts training." Okay. Seeing that Yan Zhika's attitude was not cold, Lu Cheng was happy and quickly agreed. After saying that, he thought of what had happened before and added, "When I was fighting just now, I didn't mean to. It was purely because my mind was empty and I subconsciously used it." Yan Zhika raised her head. Her cheeks were red and her dimples were shallow. "I wanted to scare you again, but I didn't. Well, my grandpa said that when you are in the arena, don't think about whether to hold back or whether to use fierce moves. These are all left to the judges and supervisors. Otherwise, the fighters who come out of the arena can't compare with the fighters who have been through life and death situations. As long as you don't attack fiercely when the opponent has no resistance or obviously lost the match, everything else is normal and should be encouraged. Thank you for your guidance, Coach Yen. Lu Qing blurted out. Hearing this, Yenjika raised her right hand to cover her mouth and chuckled. Her eyes seemed to be curved. Lu Qing, on the other hand, was also smiling warmly. Coach Yen, my Coach Yen, after this episode, the awkward atmosphere caused by Guoqing completely disappeared. Lu Qing casually mentioned, your cousin's kung fu has changed a lot. Is this your family's unique skill? Yenjika nodded her head like a chick pecking rice. My grandpa and grandma both came from Shushan study. They created several family-handed-down kung fu based on the unique skill of the fighting sect and the yin and yang magneto-optic sword. One of them is called yin-yang twist, which is derived from the shifting stars of the fighting sect and the polar chaos of the yin and yang magneto-optic sword. It also incorporates some of the contents of Tai Chi. It's a pretty good way to release and borrow force in the Danqi state and the body refining state. It's the core of the family's fighting style. If you don't practice it, you won't be able to master it. Although my cousin is talented, he has been stuck in this kung fu. When he mastered 24 blizzard strikes and comprehended it by analogy, he suddenly had an epiphany and really mastered our family's kung fu. Lu Qing suddenly understood. No wonder your cousin didn't use his family's unique skill. So it was because of this. It's not just because of this. Yenjika smiled. Her teeth were white, neat, and cute. The last punch he gave you was the meteor force, which comes from the fighting sect's unique skill, flame meteor. It seems similar to the modern blast fist, but it emphasizes the swiftness of the move, leaving no chance for the opponent to dodge. When you practice it to a certain extent, you can even offset the wind sound of the punch by opening and closing your pores. Once you hit the opponent, the force will explode. Not only can it shake the opponent's whole body, but it can also directly explode into flames and rolling airwaves after the physical invulnerability state. However, the meteor force has a high physical requirement. My cousin could only use it once before. It's better and more convenient to use 24 blizzard strikes unless it's a critical moment. Now that he has reached the peak of the body refining state, I guess he can use it 3 or 4 times. Lu Qing listened with great interest. So it's like this. Unknowingly, he completely understood the ins and outs of his brother-in-law. Hee, does this count as a girl helping her husband? Thinking of this, he remembered something and said, didn't I say I would be your sparring partner? How about I tell Coach Shi tomorrow and ask him to change our group? No. That's too embarrassing. Yenjika blurted out. Then she softened her tone and said with a smile, if you really want to be my sparring partner, then take an hour on Saturday and Sunday. An hour on Saturday and Sunday? I can spend time with Yenjika in private every weekend? Lu Qing was ecstatic. He couldn't hide his smile and said, good. Absolutely no problem. Yenjika turned her head and looked to the side. She slightly lowered her head and said with a smile, well, I'm going to take a shower first. You should go too. You smell like sweat, okay? Lu Qing nodded repeatedly and watched Yenjika enter the female locker room. When he walked back quickly, he felt like he was stepping on clouds and was about to ascend to immortality. We, the common people, are so happy today. Chapter 108. Back in the men's locker room, Lu Qing entered the bathroom. Showered with hot water, Lu Qing couldn't help but hum a little tune to wash away his physical and mental fatigue. He changed his clothes and dried his hair with a towel. When he came out, only Kai Zongming was there. Not bad. You look happy. Little Ming, who was a little impatient from waiting, teased him. Heh heh. Lu Qing answered with a laugh. Kai Zongming sighed. People have to experience a pure, burning, heartfelt feeling once in their life. Only when they don't consider other feelings can they be considered complete. You should cherish it. If you fall in love again in the future, you won't be so attentive and unreserved. Lu Qing frowned. Why do you say I'll fall in love again? Wouldn't it be better to maintain such pure feelings until the very end? Don't you want to get a girlfriend for marriage? Kai Zongming laughed and said, how can feelings be so simple? It's only the beginning when you get her. There will be friction and twists and turns. This is an era full of temptation. It's hard to stay with your first love until the end. I'm just giving you a heads up. Two people will not only get along well. I believe that as long as both parties can communicate well, are willing to work hard, and know how to tolerate each other, it's still possible. Lu Cheng answered seriously. Kai Zongming's mouth twitched. He patted him on the shoulder. I feel that we have a communication barrier. After filling his stomach in the cafeteria, Lu Cheng embarked on the journey to check out the location. After throwing himself in the window seat of the school bus, he took out his phone and logged into QQ as if there was no one else around. Have you set off? Covering mouth expression, Yenjika laughed. Just got on the bus. Lu Cheng's expression softened instantly. Yenjika didn't mention it again. She sent a fist clenched and crying expression. I feel very tired today, much more tired than before. My waist and back are aching, Lu Cheng hurriedly rubbed her head and said, maybe it's because you woke up early to train. Yeah, I didn't just train. Yenjika replied with a, who am I, where am I, what am I doing, emoji. Lu Cheng smiled and asked with concern, why don't you wake up early and stop your training? With your physiques, 4 hours of special training is more than enough. Any more and it will cause fatigue and injury. I'm not saying that your physiques are bad, but I'm saying that you don't have an abnormal endurance like mine. If you really can't take it, just stand still for half an hour in the morning and rest up. It's good enough. Yenjika sent an emoji of rubbing her chin with her right hand and said, that makes sense. Hee, I can be more intimate with the bed. I'll wake up at 7:00 tomorrow and stand still for half an hour on the balcony of the dormitory. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I won't be able to listen to the afternoon and evening classes. Coach Yen is really good at following good advice. Lu Cheng complimented her again and said, I found that my appetite has grown again. I ate 50 cents worth of rice today, but I feel like I didn't eat at all. Although I have to save my stomach for punctuality, I reckon that I won't be able to fill my stomach if I don't eat at all in the future. And that's not including the dishes. Squatting in the corner and drawing circles expression, Yenjika replied, me too. I used to be a girl with a delicate appetite. But now, I'm too embarrassed to order from the same window. This window gives me 30 cents, another window gives me 30 cents, and finally another window gives me 20 cents. That's a total of 80 cents worth of rice. I feel like a rice bucket, then what am I? 2 rice buckets? A rice pot? Lu Cheng replied with a smile, ignoring the glances of the people beside him who were curling their lips and sizing them up. Once he started chatting, time flew. He arrived at the old campus of Songqing University before he even looked up at the scenery. He found the first target through online taxi hailing, Ding Shang Spicy Crab. It was already past 1:00 and the peak of the afternoon market had ended. Lu Cheng didn't have to wait long before he got to his seat. Seeing that he was alone, the waitress was slightly surprised and blurted out, Sir, how many of you are there? Do you need to wait until everyone is here? Just one. Lu Cheng smiled awkwardly but didn't back down. This was a sacred task. The waitress couldn't help but take another look at Lu Cheng, as if she was looking at a single dog exuding a scent of loneliness. She didn't ask further and smiled politely, what kind of crab do you want? We have several grades. The cheapest is 99 cents per caddy and the most expensive is 499 cents. Lu Cheng was quite frugal with himself. He looked at the label on the outside of the water tank and said, 199 cents. Give me 2. According to Qin Mo's introduction, this was a semi-hot pot type. First, one could fry the crab with spicy rice cakes, lotus root slices and other spicy things. After eating the meat inside, one could add soup to boil it and cook some shrimp dumplings, beef, handmade noodles and other things. Crabs alone couldn't fill one's stomach. After ordering, he was led to his seat by the waitress. Along the way, he looked around and observed the environment. According to Little Ming, if it was the first time you asked a girl out for a meal, you shouldn't choose an environment that was too noisy, too crowded or too noisy. Otherwise, the taste of the food wouldn't be able to offset the bad impression, unless it was really too delicious. A table for two, a table for four and a table for two on both sides of the large table with a space in the middle. The environment is okay. Lu Qing nodded with satisfaction and waited for the spicy crab to be served. He was quite satisfied with this meal. The stir-fried crab was very fragrant, and the spicy taste was slightly sweet. It was very appetizing, and it was very suitable for his taste. After that, the handmade noodles cooked by the hot pot were smooth and tender. It could also be considered a delicacy. She should like it. Comparing their tastes, Lu Qing thought happily. After paying the bill, he hurriedly left the place and searched for the surrounding shops. Because he still had to try out 2 more shops, time was tight, so he did not leisurely stroll around. Instead, he started running, ignoring the gazes of the passers-by, constantly looking left and right. Normally, running like this would inevitably bump into pedestrians or electric poles. However, it was as if he had a lot of eyes. He could always slip and avoid in time, running through the flowers without taking any fragrance away. Does this count as a different kind of martial arts training? He thought with slight satisfaction. Behind the shopping mall 300 meters away, Lu Qing found a quiet and romantic cafe. He sat down and carefully tasted the drinks and snacks here. Yenjika once said that she didn't like coffee, but she seemed to really like milk tea. There were several varieties here. Lu Qing looked at the cups of drinks in front of him and suddenly felt a great pressure on his bladder. He was quite satisfied with the environment here. It was not like the Starbucks at the entrance of the shopping mall. Not only was there a lot of people, but the seating arrangement was also not hidden. It gave people the feeling that they had entered McDonald's or KFC. It was not at all suitable for a date, nor was it cool. After running 100 meters to the left of the cafe, Lu Qing found a cake shop. He walked back and forth, identifying different kinds of bread. He picked a few varieties that Yenjika usually mentioned and bought them. Then he sat down and started to eat directly. The quality is not bad. He touched his belly and thought with satisfaction. Lu Qing took the elevator to the 5th floor of the mall. He looked at the posters of the upcoming movies and asked the staff about them. He had a preliminary impression of each movie and whether the tickets were easy to buy or not. If she wants to watch a movie, I can introduce it to her directly and leave an impression that I have my own opinion and know what it is. He imagined the scene of the date freely. Finally, Lu Qing also studied the nearby bus routes in case he couldn't get a taxi or a car online. He couldn't let the girl stand there and wait, right? He was busy the whole afternoon, running here and there. His stomach was full, but his spirit was very excited. In the end, according to the taste preference, the distance to other shops, and the surrounding traffic situation, he chose Ding Shang spicy crab. He planned to leave the other 2 places for future dates. The next morning, the first class of the Songqing University Martial Arts Club of this semester officially began. There were fewer people than before, but they were more serious. Lu Qing, who was practicing Ice Mirror and Thunder Roar Zen, acted as Gieserscher's assistant temporarily like other members of the special training group. Besides training himself, he also had to give some advice to the students around him. When Gieserscher took the other half to the strength training gym, a group of people came in the door. There were artists with cameras, female reporters with microphones, and school staff accompanying them. "Hey, Cheng, did you see her? That reporter from last year. Shu Rui." Kai Zhongming's eyes lit up. He stopped practicing and patted Lu Qing on the shoulder. Lu Qing followed the voice and saw the source of his family's dark history. The girl with the nameplate, Shu Rui, on her chest looked much more mature than she did in the video. Her delicate face had lost its scholarly look, and her eyes were bright and full of spirit. This time, due to the weather, she wore a black down jacket, which made her skin look even fairer. Her knee-high boots outlined her long, straight legs. Interview. There's a reporter for an interview. The rest of the members of the martial arts club started to talk. Shu Rui glanced at the members of the martial arts club and suddenly brightened up. She quickly approached them and found Lu Cheng and Kai Zongming. She smiled and said, "Do you remember me?" "I remember." Compared to the last interview, Lu Cheng wasn't as nervous and uneasy. Kai Zongming nodded and said with a smile, "Yes, that was the first time I was on TV." Shu Rui also smiled and said, "I watched the video again before I left this morning. I still remember you too, so I recognized you at a glance. Would you like to be interviewed again today?" "Okay," Lu Cheng said concisely. To be honest, he was not that interested in the local TV station's interview, but he had to take the teacher's face next to him into consideration. No problem. Kai Zongming was always crazy in front of people. Shu Rui nodded and said, "Then I'll interview you one by one. Shall we start with you?" She looked at Lu Cheng. "Go ahead." Lu Cheng answered politely. Shu Rui suddenly burst into laughter. "This classmate, I think you've changed a lot. The last time we were interviewed, you were very nervous and stiff. Today, how do I put it, you're much calmer and more composed in your written language." "Because I have experience," Lu Cheng explained casually. Shu Rui nodded slightly and said, "Then I'll officially interview you. According to the information given to me by your publicity department, the martial arts club is going to participate in this preliminaries. Do you know this?" Hearing this, the surrounding members of the martial arts club were excited. They had just heard about this. Preliminaries? The martial arts club is going to organize a team to participate in the preliminaries? Yes. Lu Cheng finally understood why the reporter came. Shu Rui smiled encouragingly and said, "Then what do you think about this? What do you expect?" "Well, I think it's a good thing. We don't have any official competition this semester. In order to make up for the shortcomings of actual combat training, participating in the preliminaries is the best way. That way, we can fight with real masters, which will improve our strength a lot." Lu Cheng answered honestly. Shu Rui frowned and felt that this answer was a little weird, but she couldn't tell why. She had to make fun of him and said, "Student, don't you think you're too formal? Just like the official spokesperson of the martial arts club. I'm a fan of martial arts. Maybe I've read too much news and reports about it." Lu Cheng explained humorously. Shu Rui chuckled and said, "Well, next question. On the way here, I looked at the list given to me by your publicity department and found a strange name called Lu Cheng. He didn't participate in the division of the National University Martial Arts competitions last year, but this year he became the main force in the preliminaries. What's the story behind this? Do you know what kind of person Lu Cheng is? Does he value privacy and didn't join the martial arts club last semester? How strong is his strength? Is he of professional ninth pin?" Lu Cheng was stunned and said with a wry smile, "These questions, I can't answer." Beside him, Kai Zongming was trying hard to hold back his laughter. Shu Rui frowned and then smiled and said, "Well, can you point to Lu Cheng for me? I'll interview him directly later." Poof. Kai Zongming couldn't help laughing. Lu Cheng pointed to himself and said helplessly, "I'm Lu Cheng." Chapter 109. You are Lu Cheng? Shu Rui opened her mouth slightly. She believed that if she was drinking water, she would have spat it out. How could a silly boy who was just a passerby in last year's interview suddenly become the main force of Songqing University Martial Arts Club in the preliminaries? He should be at least of amateur 1 or 2 pin. Could it be that she was wrong? But she had been in the ring for a year and mainly participated in martial arts competitions. She had seen more than 50 local masters, if not 100. How could the silly Lu Cheng be like that? The surrounding martial arts club members were also talking about it. They didn't expect that a classmate who was easy to get along with and diligent in teaching was actually one of the main forces of the martial arts club. You really can't judge a book by its cover. Lu Cheng saw that the reporter didn't believe him and laughed. do you want me to show you my student ID? Shu Rui came back to herself from the shock and suddenly felt that this was a very valuable material. She immediately became excited. No, you can't lie about this kind of thing. Wouldn't it be clear if he asked Coach Shi later? Lu Cheng, I feel that you have a lot of stories. Can I do an exclusive interview with you? Lu Cheng didn't want to expose himself in front of the camera, so he found an excuse. But it's training time now, it's okay. Lu Cheng, just accept the interview. It's worth the publicity that our martial arts club has a master. The teacher next to them persuaded. Shu Rui pointed at the strength training gymnasium. How about this? I'll help you apply to Coach Shi. If he doesn't agree, we'll find another opportunity later. Okay. Lu Cheng decided to tell his teacher first and ask him to turn down the interview. A group of people immediately moved to the strength training gymnasium, leaving Kai Zongming standing there in a daze and complaining to himself. What about the interview one by one? After entering the strength training gymnasium, Lu Cheng quickened his pace and approached Shi first. He lowered his voice and said, Master, there are reporters who want to interview me. Can you help me block them? Shi snorted. Isn't it good to be interviewed? As long as you can keep improving, there will be a lot of similar things in the future. You need to learn to deal with the media. Anyway, your experience of starting from scratch will be discovered in the future. Why don't you take the initiative to tell them? Lu Cheng listened thoughtfully and nodded slightly. All right then. When he walked to the corner of the strength training gymnasium with Shu Rui and the cameraman, he glanced at Yan Jika subconsciously. He saw the girl looking at him with a smile. Her eyes sparkled like water, and she made a gesture of encouragement. His heart warmed, and his resistance to the interview faded a little. Lu Cheng, relax a little. Let's just treat this as a casual chat between friends. Shu Rui was no longer a newcomer in the workplace who had just left school. Her interview skills were already very proficient, and there was not the slightest bit of awkwardness. Lu Cheng wasn't nervous. After all, it was just an exclusive interview with a local TV station. Even if he didn't perform well, not many people would see it. He smiled calmly and said, I'm very relaxed. Reporter Shu, you can begin. This was a temporary interview, so Shu Rui couldn't prepare an outline in advance. She could only use her brain and act on the spot. You're a freshman, right? Yes, I just joined the martial arts club when I was interviewed last year. Lu Cheng added. Shu Rui nodded. Taking advantage of this pause, she thought quickly and thought of the next question. Before you joined the martial arts club, which amateur pin were you? You must have improved very fast recently, right? Before I joined the martial arts club, I was just a pure amateur. I didn't know anything about still stance, training methods, or fighting methods. As for strength, I might not even be able to beat a goose. Lu Cheng had recently learned a term on the internet called the strength of a goose, which was said to be used to ridicule the strength unit in some novels. Shu Rui didn't get his humor. The reporter girl and cameraman were both stunned and stupefied. She blurted out, You were a newcomer half a year ago? Not even an amateur ninth pin? Yes, I started practicing martial arts in the last half a year. Lu Cheng answered honestly. Shu Rui was a seasoned reporter, so she recovered faster than the cameraman. She gasped and said, That is to say, it only took you half a year to grow from a newcomer to the main force of the martial arts club? Well, what's your strength now? I haven't done the ranking event yet. I guess I'm a quasi-professional. I plan to participate in the ranking event of professional ninth pin at the end of April. Lu Cheng said modestly. From a newcomer to professional ninth pin in half a year. Shu Rui was excited as if she had gotten a big news. Her eyebrows and eyes were full of excitement. Are you the reincarnation of the living Buddha? No. Lu Cheng shook his head. Then you're gifted? Shu Rui's tone became light. Lu Cheng thought for a while and nodded. After I started practicing martial arts, I found that I had a talent for stillness. It only took me a short time to be able to enter a meditative state. My physical strength is also several times better than normal people. In terms of details, he made some slight adjustments. You're able to enter the concealment of spirit and chi very soon. Then it's easy for you to get started with stillness stance. Once you get started with stillness stance, you'll get twice the result with half the effort. Shu Rui specialized in martial arts interviews and understood the meaning of stillness stance very well. Yeah. He added sincerely, and coincidentally, the school invited Coach Shi to be our instructor. He's a man with a lot of knowledge. He taught us a lot of still stance and visualization of fighting styles. With the accumulation of this knowledge, I was able to improve day by day. Before the district competition, I probably had the strength of amateur ninth pin. But the gap between me and the others was still quite big. I couldn't even be a substitute. Shu Rui smiled and said, "No wonder you weren't on the list last time. What happened after that? How did you become the main force of the martial arts club?" I practiced until the winter vacation. Because the sparring of the martial arts club stopped after the district competition, I couldn't figure out my level. I wanted to find a chance to increase my actual combat experience. Then I heard from Coach Shi that there was a Warrior Sage Challenge tournament called Phoenix Cup. So I asked him for an invitation and went to Yanling to participate. Lu Qing didn't hide the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament from her. Shu Rui put her right hand in front of her lower abdomen and asked with great interest, "Did you set a goal for yourself when you joined?" "Yes. I didn't want to be eliminated in the first round. That would be so embarrassing," Lu Qing said self-deprecatingly. Shu Rui chuckled and said, "Then what happened? Which stage did you reach in the end?" "I reached the top 8. I felt that I gained a lot and improved a lot in every match. After this tournament, I became a real fighter, both physically and mentally," Lu Qing said with emotion. "Top 8? Then did you meet any professional fighters?" Shu Rui was quite surprised. It didn't sound like an amateur tournament. Lu Qing said frankly, "I met 3 professional ninth pin fighters. I lost one and won the other 2. "Wow, that's amazing. Then you're not just a quasi-professional fighter." Shu Rui was shocked and amazed. "You can't say that. I won the 2 matches for different reasons. For example, one of them was a professional ninth pin fighter who hadn't fought for a long time." Lu Qing explained briefly. This kind of question and answer session with no outline soon came to an end. It only took about 10 minutes, but Lu Qing's story was basically outlined. "Well, Lu Qing, you can go back to practice. Sorry for holding you up," Shu Rui said with a smile. "It's my pleasure," Lu Qing said politely. Shu Rui chuckled and said, "Anyway, I still have to thank you. I'm going to interview your coach Shi." Lu Qing was relieved and went back to the team. When he passed by Yan Jika, he heard her whisper, "That reporter Shu is so beautiful." Just in terms of facial features, she was indeed very beautiful. Lu Qing was about to answer, but suddenly he thought of something and said instinctively, "Is she beautiful? I think she's quite ordinary." Yan Jika glanced at him and said, "Your answer is too fake." No, I really think so. Maybe it's because she doesn't meet my aesthetic standards," Lu Qing answered seriously. Yan Jika laughed and said, "Oh, your aesthetic standards are quite special. Then tell me what the one who meets your aesthetic standards looks like." Lu Qing glanced at her and said with a smile, "Guess." Yan Jika was stunned and suddenly spat. She turned her head and said, "Who wants to guess?" Under the gaze of so many people, Lu Qing couldn't say anything. He went back to the team and continued his practice. Songqing TV station. Shu Rui found her director and briefly told him Lu Qing's story. Director Guo said, "Don't broadcast the interview. Let's not broadcast this interview for the time being. Let's wait until Songqing University Martial Arts Club can really go far in the preliminaries before we release it. Otherwise, it will be like last time, when we specially made an episode and they were eliminated in the blink of an eye." How terrible would that be? This time, just mention that Songqing University Martial Arts Club will participate in the preliminaries in the news. Okay, I'll fill in the material first. Shu Rui had expected this result. When she returned to the second editing room, she answered her boyfriend's call and chatted with him for a while. Then, she told her colleagues about the gossip and all kinds of weird things she had encountered during the interview. After that, she turned on her computer and logged in to search for relevant materials for the interview. The first thing that came to her mind was the Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Challenge tournament. After all, Lu Cheng's description of the tournament was very brief. After entering these words in the search bar, she added Lu Cheng's name after thinking for a while. With a click sound, the search results were refreshed. She browsed the whole thing and didn't hurry to open them one by one. These are the official website of the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament, and these are. Hey, Lu Cheng has a private forum? Shu Rui exclaimed in a low voice and opened the forum to confirm the authenticity. She saw the two IDs, Eternal Nightfall, and a Brahmin, rolling around and acting cute, saying that they would die if they didn't see Lu Cheng's news. Shu Rui couldn't help but smile. She seemed to recall the days when she was a fangirl. She found the interview material and edited a rough trailer. Then she logged into the ID, Lush Gives Birth to Light, that she hadn't used for a long time and posted, Songqing TV station's preview of Lu Cheng's interview. In the main building, she uploaded the edited video and typed a line of words, "Don't ask me who I am. I'm just a good person." Chapter 110. As an art student, Yan Shaoling didn't need to attend the tutoring for the senior year of high school. When her classmates started to leave early and come back late, she was still lying in bed, happily playing with her mobile phone. Beside her ears was music from her laptop. It was an old song, White Moonlight. After playing for a while, she returned to the BBS with a strong sense of responsibility. She planned to patrol the BBS to avoid being polluted by people with small advertisements. Songqing TV station's exclusive interview with Lu Cheng, the preview. As soon as she switched to the BBS, she was stunned. Her eyes were wide open like a surprised cat. Her hands moved faster than her brain. Before she recovered her ability to think, she had already clicked in and played the video. Do you know what kind of person Lu Cheng is? What is his strength? Is he of professional ninth pin? I can't answer these questions. As she watched, Yan Xiaoling's expression unconsciously changed into a smile. She let out a joyful voice alone, "It's really Lu Cheng. It's really Lu Cheng. Huh, so funny." Asking who is Lu Cheng in front of Lu Cheng, he didn't know martial arts half a year ago. Unconsciously, the short preview finished playing. Yan Shaoling was rolling with joy and reverberating with surprise. She couldn't control herself and quickly replied to the post of Lush Natural Light, "Good people live a peaceful life. It's really our Lu Cheng. Hey, he's really a very warm boy." After replying to 3 messages in a row, she found Brahman on QQ and hurriedly said, "Quick, go to the BBS post, the first one. The first one outside of the top." After sending the message, she suddenly felt that it wasn't enough to express her excitement and joy. She simply changed the mode to voice and aimed it at her mouth. "Ha ha ha ha, I'm so happy. I finally saw the news of Lu Cheng. He's really very warm, very warm, very warm." Important things must be said 3 times. Before he entered the challenge tournament, he was actually a super rookie with no actual combat experience. He only learned martial arts for half a year. So awesome. I'm so happy. I'm covering my face and rolling around. Don't ask me how I did it. After a while, Brahman wiped her cold sweat and said, "I didn't expect you to be so love-struck. I always thought you were the soft and cute type." Speaking up to this point, she also sent a voice message. Using the crisp voice of a young girl, she said, "Little Nightfall, you're lying. Your voice is clearly that of a primary school student, yet you lied to me and said that you're a third-year high school big sister." Yan Shaoling was in a good mood, so she didn't care about it. She coughed and said in a broadcasting voice, "You have to allow others to be born with a childlike voice. Just wait for me to enter Songqing University in the second half of the year." "Humph, I'll wait. I'll go read the post first." Brahman couldn't wait to open the forum and click on the post. As the video played, her expression gradually changed. She excitedly tugged at the 2 braids on her shoulders and quickly replied to lush self-generating light, "It's so short. It's not satisfying." So when my idol participated in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament, he had just started learning martial arts for half a year and had no actual combat experience, but he was already in the top 8. No wonder he's so mysterious. I suddenly admire him more. There was no conflict between the mysterious, hidden master and the genius who had just started learning martial arts for half a year and entered the top 8 of the challenge tournament. Brahman was as excited as Yan Shaoling. She was so excited that she just wanted to vent her emotions. I'll send it to Uncle Pig Riding, Uncle Ring, and the others so that they can get to know my idol. Look at them bragging that they lost because they didn't have actual combat experience for many years, but he had just started practicing martial arts for less than half a year. Thinking of this, Brahman hesitated for a moment. Should she send it to the chat group or directly to the Longhu Club forum? If she chose the former, she would take into account the reputation of Road to the Arena and Invincible Punch, but the number of people who could see it would be quite limited. It wouldn't be enough to satisfy her excitement. After thinking for a second, Brahman made a serious decision. She would send it to the Longhu Club forum. Adults should consider the consequences, while children only care about happiness. Soon, a post appeared on the Longhu Club forum. The title was, "There's new news about my idol." In the post, Brahman tagged a bunch of people and said proudly, "Look, it's an exclusive interview with my idol." It said that he has only been practicing martial arts for half a year. Not long after, Unparalleled Dragon King replied with a shocked emoji, "He has only been practicing martial arts for half a year. No wonder it's not in my database and I couldn't ask anyone. He has only been practicing martial arts for half a year." Road to the Arena followed up with a reply, "I'll stop talking. I'm going to buy a piece of tofu and knock myself to death at home." Invincible Punch sent an emoji of fainting in the toilet and said, "Master Road, I'm not going to buy tofu. I'll just knock myself to death on the toilet." Pig Riding Knight laughed with Yao Ming and said, "Come on, line up and knock yourself to death." The number of replies increased rapidly. Brahman was so happy that she even copied and pasted it to Yan Shaoling so that she could share the joy. Not long after, Beautiful World also replied, looking at the interview, "It seems that he has some talent. Once this kind of person starts practicing martial arts, he will definitely improve quickly at the beginning. It's a burst of potential. But when this stage is over, there will be a bottleneck. It's still unknown whether he can get out of it." Outspoken Mind added, "He has been reincarnated as a living Buddha for a few years. Who can compare with him?" Okamoto's fan joked, "I'm going to practice martial arts. Maybe I have some talent. Whoever I stare at will get pregnant. Whoever I look at will get climax." The little girl, Wonton Seller, said, "I suddenly admire him a little. Just with talent, it's impossible to defeat a professional 9th pin fighter in half a year without extremely tough training. I like this kind of talented and hard-working kid." When Lu Cheng was browsing the forum, he saw this scene. For a moment, he didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Or just watch silently. Wasn't this news spreading too quickly? Of course, Shu Rui didn't know what was happening in the Longhu Club forum. After seeing the excited replies from Eternal Nightfall and Brahman in their own posts, she couldn't help but smile and click follow. Brahman was trying her best to attract fans for Lu Cheng. She persuaded Wonton Seller to follow her and succeeded. Valentine's Day came quickly. According to Kai Zongming's advice, Lu Cheng became more and more friendly. He would say flirtatious words from time to time, trying to convey his feelings without causing pressure or burden to the girl. After dinner, when he returned to the dormitory for a short rest, he took out his phone and replied to Yen Jika's messages as before, trying to start a new topic. But this time, Yen Jika didn't reply quickly. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes passed. Lu Qing suddenly felt a little worried. This kind of situation had never happened before. Usually, when Yan Jika didn't reply to his messages, he knew what she was doing and why. But this time, there was no sign. She didn't mention anything in advance. She said that she had already eaten dinner. Did something happen to her? But what kind of accident can happen in school? Even if there is a reckless guy, with her current skills, it's more than enough to deal with him. Did she accidentally fall into the lake? She can't swim. Lu Qing stood by the window, thoughts coming one after another. All kinds of bad guesses were bothering his mind. He couldn't stay there any longer, so he called Kai Zongming. "Talker, let's go." Kai Zongming looked up from the computer with a blank face. "Isn't it still early?" "Let's go early. It'll help with digestion," Lu Qing said perfunctorily. "Well, okay." Kai Zongming frowned slightly and closed his laptop. They hurried to the teaching building ahead of time. Along the way, Lu Qing kept looking around to see if anything was going on. However, he only saw a lot of students in pairs, which made him envious. Yan Jika went back with her roommates. If something really happened, it shouldn't be so peaceful. At this moment, he couldn't help but guess in another direction. Today is Valentine's Day. Did someone confess to her? How did she respond? She hasn't replied for so long. Could it be that possibility Lu Qing didn't dare to think about? His expression became gloomy and his heart was blocked, as if he was sulking. He wanted to call her, but he knew it wasn't good. Besides, he didn't know how to say it. Half an hour, 1 hour, time flew, but Yan Jika still didn't reply. Lu Qing sat in the classroom and couldn't listen to the lecture at all. His mind was in a mess and he took out his phone to check every few minutes. Kai Zongming next to him twitched his mouth, coughed twice, and whispered, "Did you have a conflict?" "Not really." Lu Qing didn't know how to describe his thoughts. Kai Zongming smiled and said, "Relax. It's normal to have some conflicts. You need to learn communication skills." He talked endlessly about how to get along with girls, but Lu Qing was distracted. It was good enough that he could hear 2 or 3 sentences out of 10. Beep. 10 minutes to the end of the class, a message from Yan Jika finally flashed on his phone. She said, "Phew, finally back to the dormitory." Lu Qing felt gloomy and a little uncomfortable. He just replied, "Yeah." But he immediately remembered what Kai Zongming said just now. The same content, different expressions, in the eyes of girls, are completely different. If there is a conflict, it's useless to be angry. You have to try to communicate. And if you want to communicate well, you have to set your attitude right. Taking a deep breath, he hurriedly added, "What's wrong? You seem tired." "Yes, I'm tired, physically and mentally." Yan Jika said, "After dinner, I was stopped at the dormitory door to confess to someone. A bunch of candles and flowers were placed in public. It's so embarrassing. I don't know what this kind of person is thinking. He only thinks about touching himself and doesn't consider the feelings of girls. Who likes to be surrounded by people like an animal? It's so embarrassing." Lu Qing was happy to hear that. His gloominess dissipated a lot. "So, you rejected him?" "Of course, mercilessly, coldly, and cruelly rejected him." Yan Jika gave an affirmative answer. "I ran away as soon as I finished my words. I was afraid of being harassed by him. I didn't dare to go back to the dormitory, so I went to the classroom. Because my phone was running out of battery, I asked my roommate to bring me a charger. At this time, another call came in. He said something about my cousin and asked me to go to the psychology department. Well, my phone is completely out of battery. So it's out of battery." Lu Qing felt his body and mind relaxed. Only some emotions were not completely released. He asked in confusion, "Psychology department?" "My cousin is studying psychology department." I thought it would be good for his mild autism, but it turned out to be the opposite. Psychological counseling seems to have no effect on him. Sigh, the teacher asked me to go there to talk about this. When I came back, I had just charged my phone and then started the professional foreign language test in the evening. Yenjika said, using an emoji of squatting and exhaling. Lu Qing suddenly understood. You handed in your test in advance? Yes, I'm exhausted. Yenjika paused and said sharply, Qing, you seem to be in a bad mood just now. Lu Qing wanted to deny it, but after thinking about it, he confessed part of it. You didn't reply for a long time, so I couldn't help but let my imagination run wild. I thought you might have fallen into the lake or met some bad guys. I became very nervous and uneasy and even wanted to call you. Pfft, you really know how to curse me. Yenjika laughed. Why do you let your imagination run wild? Seeing this question, Lu Cheng's uncontrollable emotions started to surge. He couldn't help but blurt out, because I like Yenjika. I like Yenjika very much. As soon as he sent this message, he immediately regretted it. Damn it, didn't they say that I can't confess before the relationship is confirmed? Didn't they say that I have to confess face to face and not over the phone or the internet? The right way to do it should be on a date the day after tomorrow. Damn it, I made a mistake, made a lot of mistakes. Nervousness, uneasiness, worry, expectation and other emotions suddenly emerged. Lu Qing heard his heart beating faster than ever. Yenjika fell into silence and didn't reply for a long time. This made him more and more afraid, more and more uneasy, and more desperate. You don't want to say anything? He plucked up his courage and asked again, waiting for the judgment to come. More than 10 seconds later, Yenjika replied with a shy emoji. Let me be happy for 5 minutes first, boom. The meaning contained in this sentence hit Lu Cheng's mind and made his heart explode like fireworks, one after another, brilliant, dazzling and beautiful. Yenjika said yes. The most beautiful thing in the world is that the person I like also likes me. Lu Qing almost jumped up. There was only ecstasy echoing in his mind, and only the fireworks were in full bloom. He couldn't help but look out of the window, feeling that the bright moon was much brighter. Chapter 111. Lu Qing held back the urge to scream and run around the classroom. He lowered his head and showed his pure joy to Yenjika. I feel like I can't calm down. I'm so happy that I want to jump down from the teaching building and swim in the lake. Yenjika smiled shyly. You'll scare your teacher to death, so angry. If we weren't in class, I would have shouted. Lu Qing was almost incoherent. His body was full of joy. He couldn't help but ask, when did you start to, like me? Yenjika replied with a dumbfounded expression. When did I say I like you? When did I accept your confession? I only said to be happy for 5 minutes. Ah. Lu Qing instantly calmed down, as if he had fallen into an ice cave. His heart was full of anxiety and uneasiness. At this moment, he saw Yenjika continue saying, Humph, if you want me to accept, you have to go through 81 tests, not including the life instructors. Lu Qing breathed a sigh of relief and was overjoyed again. He felt like he had gone through a roller coaster game. It turned out to be a girl's pride and thin skin. No problem, I'll accept all the tests. He quickly expressed his determination. You have to remember this. After saying this, Yenjika said with a shy expression, Then when did you start to like me? Lu Qing, who was overwhelmed by joy and excitement, answered honestly, In fact, I had a crush on you in high school. I'll go to the balcony and be happy for 5 more minutes, Yenjika said with a blush expression. Then she seemed to realize something. Wow. You didn't meet me by chance. You just wanted to hit on me. And I was so happy that I met an acquaintance, a classmate with a normal relationship. I didn't have to worry about being pestered. If I had known, I wouldn't have given you my QQ number. Humph. Even though Yenjika couldn't see it, Lu Qing subconsciously scratched his head and replied with a silly smile. Haha. After that, he added, You don't know how nervous I was at that time. I was afraid that you would see through my flirting and didn't give me a good face or contact number. Yenjika said with a snickering expression, if I didn't give you my number, what would you do? Are you giving up just like that? Considering my newbie status, it would be hard for me to muster up the courage for a second rejection. Of course, with Little Ming's encouragement and guidance, I can't rule out the possibility of repeated failures. Lu Qing thought in relief and typed quickly, how could that be? I joined the martial arts club because of you, so of course I have to take advantage of this opportunity. So you joined the martial arts club because of me? Yenjika seemed a little surprised. That's right. When I passed by the martial arts club's recruitment booth, I happened to see you, so I forced Little Ming to sign up. I think this is not a coincidence, but fate. After the successful confession, Lu Qing felt that his face had become thicker and thicker. In the past, he had dared to say a few ambiguous and suggestive words, but now he could say such mushy words without blushing or panting. Yenjika replied with a smiley face and asked, then why do you like me? What do you like about me? I don't know why I like you. At first, when I passed by your class to look at the pretty girls, I was just admiring them. Later on, I realized that I would unconsciously look at the beautiful figure diagonally in front of me. I would always quiet down and listen attentively when others mentioned you. I would always guess what rank you got when the grade was announced. That was when I suddenly realized that I like you. Lu Qing didn't embellish his words and spoke from the bottom of his heart. Without waiting for Yenjika's reply, he continued to type, at that time, maybe I was just admiring a perfect girl and projected all the beautiful thoughts in my heart on you. I was moved by myself and hinted at myself. But after I really got to know you, I realized that you are a real girl with your own feelings and shortcomings. However, the more I know you, the more I find that I like you. I like you who always pursed your lips and smiled. I like you who unconsciously turned your head to one side when you showed your emotions. I like you who was elegant and delicate. I like you who was lively and cheerful inside. I like you who didn't put on airs and liked to joke. I like you who was obsessed with martial arts. I like you who grew up with me. I like you who analyzed my enemies for me. I like you who sang and cheered for me. I like you who didn't like to be pestered by boys. I like you who liked to laze in bed. I like you who would occasionally throw tantrums. I like you who wanted to improve your martial arts but didn't dare to. I like you so much. I like you so much. After typing this pile of words, Lu Qing looked back and was a little surprised. When did I unlock the love words skill? Is this what it means to say that every word and sentence comes from love? After a while, Yenjika replied, it's all because of you. My face is so red and hot, and my eyes are a little wet. My roommates are coming back soon, I'll go wash up and put on my face. I won't let them find out, so they won't gossip. Okay, go quickly. Lu Qing said with uncontrollable joy. When he looked up, he was suddenly stunned because the whole classroom was empty, except for a few students studying by themselves and Kai Zongming standing in front of him. Class is over? Lu Qing asked blankly. Kai Zongming spread his hands and smiled. Obviously. Why didn't I know? Lu Qing said subconsciously again. How could you know when you're so obsessed with love that you can't extricate yourself? Kai Zongming raised his eyebrows. Look at you, you're itching to go out and run a few laps naked. Did you have a breakthrough? I can't believe you were still wearing that face of a dead man just now. But then again, the right amount of friction and reconciliation can really improve feelings. Lu Qing couldn't wait to share his happiness. Yes, I confessed, and she said yes. Cough. Kai Zongming almost choked on his own saliva. You confessed just like that? You confessed on QQ? She actually said yes. Lu Qing said with a face full of joy, yeah, I typed out my confession on impulse. Typed? Didn't you calm down while you were typing? Kai Zongming glanced at a few students studying by themselves and lowered his voice. You know, when a person is emotional and impulsive, they really don't care about anything else. Also, my confession was only a dozen words. When I regained my composure, would have already sent it out, not a bunch of words. At that time, my feelings were like this: who am I? Where am I? What the F***ck did I do? Lu Qing described the state he was in when he confessed. Kai Zongming was stunned for a moment and sighed. It's quite normal, really. If you don't make a few mistakes and be impulsive, how can it be called first love? How can it be called pure and passionate? Good thing you're in luck and laid the foundation in place. Otherwise, you'd be waiting for 10 moves to reject you. Phew. Lu Qing exhaled a long breath. I'm also quite scared. If she rejected me, I would have no chance at all. Kai Zongming smiled and said, it's good that you know how to be scared. According to my guidance, within 3 months, you have more than a 90% chance of successfully holding hands and establishing a relationship. If you impulsively confessed, it's really up to fate. As for being rejected, hey, what's there to be afraid of? Sometimes, a girl rejects you not because she doesn't like you, but because it's not enough for her to make up her mind to change her life. You still need to add fuel to the fire. Be thick-skinned and pretend that you didn't confess. Continue to stick to her and control the degree of entanglement. You'll still have a chance to win her heart. As the saying goes, a strong woman is afraid of a pestering man. Of course, if she becomes very cold after you confess and doesn't change for a while, then quit while you're ahead. Lu Qing smiled and squinted his eyes. Fortunately, she also likes me. After saying this, he jumped up from his seat and felt that he needed to vent the ecstasy in his heart. So he packed his school bag and pulled Kai Zongming. Talker, let's run back. Run? As soon as Kai Zongming spat out a word, he was pulled by Lu Qing to run like the wind. They ran down the stairs of the teaching building, ran past several buildings, ran across the long bridge, ran across the square, ran across the pedestrian street, and ran all the way into the yard of the 7th male dormitory. Phew, phew, phew. Kai Zongming gasped and retched. You were the one who wanted to run. Why did you pull me? Why did you pull me? Damn it, it's not like I succeeded in confessing. It's fine to run, but why did you run so fast? Lu Qing chuckled. Am I not excited? He took out his phone and wanted to see if Yenjika had finished washing up. But he found that she had already replied to several messages. Well, Qing, you should be on your way back to the dormitory, right? There are some words that I'm too embarrassed to say to you directly. Now is the time to tell you secretly. Didn't you just ask me when I started to like you a little? On a whim, I wanted to wait until the early hours of the morning to call you and wish you a happy birthday. Then I suddenly realized that I like you a little. I'm happy for you, I'm worried for you, I'm anxious for you, and I'm also angry for you. When you brought me the roasted eggplant and other dishes, I was really happy and moved. I turned my head away because I didn't want you to see my ugly face when I was about to cry. But in order to treat me to a meal, you specially went to check the time and taste the food. That silly and serious look of yours made me happy for a long time. I kept thinking that if this continued, would like you more and more. But today, you suddenly confessed to me. I was really very happy just now. It was an experience that I've never had in my life. But there was also a lot of hesitation and confusion. I wasn't mentally prepared. I didn't like you more and more. I didn't have the courage to change my current life and accept the sudden addition of another person in my life. That's why I was silent for so long until you asked. When you asked me, I was also asking myself. Was I willing to miss you? Was I willing to miss the silly Lu Qing? I thought about it and felt that if I really missed you, I would be very sad and very regretful. Since I've started to like you, why not give it a try? Qing, I may need a little more time to accept the change. I may need to wait for a while before I can like you as much as you like me. I may need to slowly conquer my cowardice and gather my courage bit by bit to be a good girlfriend. Are you willing to wait for me? Lu Cheng's eyes were wet. He nodded hard, even if the girl couldn't see it. He took a deep breath and replied, I'm willing. I'm willing to wait for you for a lifetime. He felt that his heart had become very light. Although he wasn't as ecstatic and excited as before, there was a faint sense of peace and joy. It was as if the bright moonlight shone into the softest part of his heart. Different emotions, equally beautiful. P.S. As requested, I'm feeding you dog food in advance. No, I'm updating in advance. Please recommend me. Chapter 112. At this moment, Lu Qing only felt that everything was so beautiful. The students walking in and out were so cute, the background noise was so pleasant, and even the cold and damp air seemed to have a little sweetness, refreshing and pleasant. It was not even the 15th day yet, but the moon was so bright and full. Yenjika quickly replied to his mushy promise and said with a cute face, "What are you talking about? Why can't I understand? My account was hacked just now." Yes, it was hacked. Pfft. Lu Qing almost laughed out loud. He seemed to have pictured the girl's proud and shy face in his mind, so he replied with a serious face, "Damn it, how dare they hack our Kochian's account? I will write down what she said in a small notebook and recall it 100 times every day to make the most profound condemnation." He didn't know why, but after the confession, he felt less restrained in front of girls and more comfortable in flirting. Yenjika seemed to be speechless for a moment. She sent a long string of ellipses and then said, "Forget it. Delete it. Humph, you just confessed and you want to recall someone else every day? Okay, I'll forget it right away." After replying, Lu Qing added with a smile, "But I won't forget what I promised." Yenjika said with a blank face, "Have you been in love before? Why do you sound so good?" "I'm a little flustered. Cute girls nowadays like to use the word flustered instead of flustered." Lu Qing thought and hurriedly explained, "No, I like you since the first awakening of love. I don't know how to speak, I just express the most honest thoughts in my heart. I say what I think without any modification. You even know how to use the first awakening of love." Yenjika snickered, "Unfortunately, I didn't dare to visit you in high school because I was afraid of being surrounded. I didn't have the chance to see the first awakening of love. At that time, I must be even more stupid than now." Lu Qing heard that and smiled. "Indeed, I was more stupid and less confident at that time. Except for learning and playing games, I was timid in other aspects. I'm not generous enough. Fortunately, you don't remember it, or it would be a black history." He calmly described his past and faced Yenjika with his truest self. "I was the same at that time. I had low self-esteem. I thought everyone else was fine, but I didn't dare to go deep into martial arts. I could only watch with envy." Yenjika didn't dislike Lu Cheng's frustration in high school. Instead, she resonated with him. Lu Qing didn't want Yenjika to be immersed in the sadness of the past, so he changed the topic and said emotionally, "I was so happy just now. I wanted to shout, but I was afraid that I would scare others, so I had to drag little Ming all the way back. We ran at a speed close to sprinting. He was so tired that he was panting. He hasn't recovered yet, but I still wanted to shout, 'I'm so happy. Pfft, poor little Ming.'" Yenjika couldn't help but laugh. "Don't provoke others. Be careful that some single students will throw things at you. Little Ming is not pitiful at all. In the future, I will give him a big red packet as a matchmaker. Nothing can be better than this." Lu Qing laughed secretly. "To be honest, just now I wanted to run to your dormitory door. Even if it was just to take a look at you, it would be nice. But when I saw your, hacked message, I felt that it might scare you and make you more resistant, so I held myself back. We still have a long time, so it's better to take it slow." After sending this message, he felt that his sweet talk skills were activated again. Was this an instinct that all men have, or was it his talent? Yenjika replied with a blushing and smiling emoji. "That's a good Cheng." Being praised, Lu Qing beamed with joy and asked curiously, "Have you known that I like you for a long time?" "Yes, a little bit. At that time, I was wondering what was wrong with this classmate. Why did he chat with me every day? Although we got along quite well, if he had the guts to confess to me or woo me, I would have cruelly rejected him. Yenjika replied with an emoji rolling her eyes at the sky. Luckily I know how to do it step by step. Lu Qing said, wiping cold sweat. This is all thanks to Little Ming's patient guidance. A good teacher and helpful friend does not deceive me. I'm too stupid to be fooled by your harmless act. Humph. Yenjika said, crying face. I'll lie to you for a lifetime. Lu Cheng was too embarrassed to say such mushy words. Suddenly, he felt a pat on his shoulder. He saw Kai Zongming coming back to his senses. He pointed at the time on his phone and then turned to look at the dorm. Damn, it's already 10 o'clock. How did the beautiful time pass so quickly? Lu Qing felt melancholy. Normally, the evening class ended at 9:35. He had wasted a lot of time coming back. After chatting for a long time, it was actually quite normal for it to be around 10 o'clock. But he had to go to bed at 10:30. He really couldn't bear to leave. He thought for a while and told Yenjika how he felt. Unknowingly, it's already 10 o'clock. I have to go to bed. I have to wake up early tomorrow to train. I couldn't bear to leave and wanted to go to bed at 12. But I remembered what Little Ming said before, don't be afraid to woo her just because you're not good enough for her. You have to change yourself for her, improve yourself, and work hard to be good enough for her. I want to be good enough for you, so I can't relax my training requirements. That was not the original words, but the meaning was close enough. Yenjika said, if you didn't say it, I would have urged you to go to bed. Go and wash up. Good night later, okay? Lu Qing replied happily. At this time, Yenjika replied to another message. Well, I like the silly Cheng, and I also like the Cheng who focuses on martial arts training seriously. So annoying. That guy is so annoying. My account was hacked again. Don't reply. Lu Cheng's eyebrows relaxed and his heart warmed. He was so happy that he couldn't hide his smile. He also felt that Yenjika was so cute and he liked her very much. Well, I didn't see anything and I didn't reply. He sent a message seriously. Lu Qing put his phone in his pocket and looked up. He saw Kai Zongming shaking his head and smirking. This little face reminds me of the first time I fell in love in elementary school. You can say whatever you want. I'm in a good mood today, so I don't care. Lu Qing said happily. Kai Zongming laughed. Then I'll say something to discourage you. In a relationship, the one who confesses first and gives more will lose the initiative and lose the upper hand. Lu Qing looked at him in confusion. Why do I have to take the initiative and gain the upper hand in my relationship with her? I like her more and I spoil her. Isn't that good enough? Kai Zongming looked at him blankly and his mouth twitched. I'm going to vomit for a while. It's so disgusting. Hee hee. Lu Qing didn't take it seriously. He went back to the dormitory and quickly washed up. He wanted to climb into bed directly and skip the small talk with Xiao Chang and Qiu Zhigao. But he changed his mind and turned on his laptop. He used Cloud Sync to transfer the chat history to the computer version and saved several copies in different places. This is a good memory that I can recall for a lifetime. What will it be like when I'm old and white and my teeth are loose? How will I feel when I cuddle up with Yenjika? He turned off the computer, took off his clothes, and climbed into bed. He said with a smirk, I'm lying down. I can't sleep until you say good night. It would gradually evolve into hugging and kissing later. Yenjika covered her mouth and laughed. Okay, good night, good night. Go to sleep. I'm going to sleep too. I'm so tired today. Good night. Dream of me, Lu Qing plucked up the courage to say that. Bah. I don't want to. Yenjika replied shyly. The night gradually quieted down. Lu Qing fell asleep with a smile. He seemed to be as happy in his dream. The next morning, he showed up at the lakeside on time. Looking at the misty dusk, he suddenly felt a little regretful. According to the novels he had read, the posts he had read, and the friends in college all had good memories of having breakfast delivered to them. But he had to get up early in the morning to practice, so he couldn't experience this feeling. He always felt that he couldn't do better. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. It's not that I don't have time. I can make use of the time. I can start practice 20 minutes earlier and finish 20 minutes earlier. And when I'm practicing endurance, I can run far away. I can buy Yenjika a breakfast that's not from the cafeteria on the way. Hee hee. When I figure out what kind of breakfast she likes in Songcheng, I can implement it. Excited, he practiced harder and harder. Seeing this, Geyser was stunned. He always felt that his stupid disciple had taken something like strength pill or stimulant. While punching and kicking, Lu Qing visualized the image of thunderclouds shaking, which moved his throat and chest and pulled his internal organs, making a sound similar to thunder. With the tremor force in the training method, he shook his bones and marrow little by little. Step by step, he tempered the hard-to-reach parts of his body. Unconsciously, the morning practice time was over. He hurriedly ate breakfast and couldn't wait to fly to the martial arts arena, because he could see Yenjika. As soon as he stepped into the door, his eyes were like a radar. He looked over and met Yenjika's eyes. Yenjika suddenly avoided his eyes and lowered her eyes. Her long black eyelashes trembled and her cheeks flushed. But she quickly looked up and glanced at Lu Qing. Then she turned her head to the side in a flirtatious manner. Lu Qing didn't know why he also blushed. He knew that girls were thin-skinned and hadn't fully adjusted, so he didn't recklessly greet her. Instead, he returned to his seat and peeped at her from time to time. And he could always catch Yenjika's eyes, which filled his heart with tacit understanding and sweetness. For the whole morning, the two of them looked at each other like this. Time flew by quickly, and they were about to enter the final part of their training. At this time, Geyser coughed and said, "The preliminary schedule has been drawn up. More than 20 teams from Songcheng have signed up and formed a division with several surrounding cities. There are 4 groups of 8 to 9 teams in each group. They will fight in a single round and draw lots to decide the home and away games. The top 2 teams with the best records will advance and compete with the other teams in the other groups for 2 places in the division. We are in the 3rd group with 8 teams. That is to say, no matter whether we can advance or not, we can fight 7 games. Our first opponent is the local Hongluo Martial Arts School in Songcheng on the afternoon of the 17th. We will be the away game. I will send the video materials to the members who will participate in the preliminaries. You can think about it in these 2 days." Hearing this, Lu Qing was refreshed. He was in high spirits and eager to have a try. Friends of Hongluo Martial Arts School, please feel my happiness and excitement. Chapter 113. After the practice, Lu Qing glanced at Yenjika's side and was about to approach her. Kai Zongming, who had been ravaged by the gorilla again, couldn't help but tease them. "You've been practicing flirting all morning. Isn't that enough? Think about the feelings of a single dog. Think about me, a foreign dog." "Ha." Lu Qing laughed and then found an excuse. "I have to confirm the arrangement for tomorrow." Then, without waiting for Kai Zongming's response, he strode over to Yenjika. "So punctual." Guo Qing teased, wiped the sweat on her forehead and went back to the female locker room. Lu Qing and Yenjika looked at each other and smiled. They both saw the shyness in each other's eyes, but the awkwardness was gone. Instead, there was an indescribable sweetness. "She knows about us?" Lu Qing casually found a topic. Yenjika crossed her hands in front of her and looked to the side. Her cheeks were red again. She spat and said, "What can happen between us? You're the one who is too obvious. She always teases me with you, saying that Cheng is probably chasing you. What are you thinking?" "Then what are you thinking?" Lu Qing asked with a smile. Yenjika suddenly glanced at him, which made his heart beat fast. I'm not thinking about anything. At times like this, I usually make fun of her and Qiu Zhigao. Seeing that Lu Qing didn't act too close to her and just flirted with her more than usual, she seemed to relax a lot. She stopped crossing her hands, one hanging down and the other playing with the hair that had escaped from her ponytail. Have they made any progress? Lu Qing asked casually. Yenjika slightly frowned. No progress. Anyway, Guoqing has been worried about this recently. You and Qiu Zhigao are in the same dormitory. Do you know what he thinks? He's a study maniac. He goes out early and comes back late every day. We can only meet in some classes and chat for half an hour before I go to bed. Anyway, if we're not joking, he won't mention Guoqing. Lu Qing sold Qiu Zhigao out without hesitation. Now that he had won Yenjika's heart, he didn't care whether he could maintain a friendly relationship with Guoqing. After that, he changed the topic. Are we going to have lunch or dinner tomorrow? He already had an answer to this question in his heart, but no matter what, he had to consider the girl's opinion first. If the girl was hesitant, then he would make a quick decision himself. This way, he would respect the girl and also show that he had his own opinions and confidence. Yenjika looked up cutely and said, "Let's go at noon. If we are delayed by something at night, we might miss the last school bus." Okay. Lu Qing agreed without hesitation. In fact, he was thinking about dinner because the special training would end at noon, so it would be a rush to get there. After a whole morning of martial arts training, he was fine, but Yenjika must be tired. She should take a shower, take a nap, and have a rest first. But since the girl chose to eat at noon, he had to agree. In the sentence, date with Yenjika, the important thing was, Yenjika, not, date. He vaguely understood the reason for Yenjika's choice. It was mainly because he confessed too hastily and made her accept it too hastily. She hadn't adapted to the change of role and had an instinctive fear of not being able to take the school bus at night. He needed to make her lower her guard bit by bit with his good performance. Thinking of this, he smiled and said, "Today I'll take the opportunity to watch the videos and materials of Hongluo Martial Arts School. Tomorrow I have to hurry up and ask Coach Yen for guidance." Ha! Yenjika couldn't help but laugh. Her eyebrows relaxed and she said, "Not bad. You know I'm Coach Yen." On this topic, the two chatted happily. There was a touch of sweetness in their eyes. At this time, Guoqing finished her shower and came out of the women's locker room. She looked at the two in surprise and blurted out, "You're still chatting? How long have you been chatting?" She looked back and forth between Lu Qing and Yenjika with suspicion. Yenjika pretended to be normal and said, "Let's talk about Hongluo Martial Arts School later. I'm going to take a shower first." After that, she didn't dare to look at Lu Qing or Guoqing. She hurried into the women's locker room and her cheeks seemed to be flushed again. I'm going to take a shower too." Lu Qing avoided Guoqing's eyes and laughed dryly. He walked to the men's locker room. Guoqing couldn't help but twitch her mouth and whisper, "Something's wrong." At noon the next day, Lu Qing rushed into the men's locker room as soon as the training ended. His speed was so fast that no one could catch up with him. He didn't talk to Yenjika today because they had agreed to meet at the school bus station at 12:50. After carefully washing his body, he didn't wait for Kai Zongming and rushed back to the dormitory. He opened the wardrobe and according to the guidance of Casanova last night, he chose the short leather jacket that made him look more spirited and changed into a pair of beige slacks. He wanted to look clean and fresh. After changing clothes, he suppressed his excitement and went to the washstand. He seriously shaved his beard and styled his hair. He couldn't wait to do every detail to the best of his ability. After busying himself, he looked at his phone and found that it was only 12:30. There were still 20 minutes before the meeting. It would take him at most 5 or 6 minutes to walk from the dormitory to the school bus station. Let's go and wait. Lu Qing thought. He was both excited and nervous at the same time. This was the first date in his life. When he passed by the supermarket on the pedestrian street, he suddenly had an idea. He turned around and walked straight in. From the time she got on the school bus to the time the spicy crab was ready, it would take at least 50 minutes. That was to say, Yenjika wouldn't be able to eat anything until after 1:40 p.m. She had been training all morning and needed to replenish her energy. By that time, she would be very hungry. I should buy some snacks for her to eat on the way. While choosing, Luqing recalled Yenjika's words and tried to find what she liked. Well, she doesn't like sweet biscuits. She prefers soda-flavored biscuits. I can't buy too much. It will affect the following arrangements. A few minutes later, Luqing took a small bag of biscuits to the cashier. He thought for a while and added a small bottle of mineral water. He didn't ask for a bag and put them in his left and right pockets. I have to give her a surprise. When he arrived at the bus stop, he put his hands in the pockets of his leather jacket to hide their bulging. Not long after, he saw a beautiful figure walking towards him gracefully. Yenjika was wearing a pink sweater inside and a long white down jacket outside. Her hat was trimmed with the same color fur, which made her look delicate and pink. She was wearing black leggings, which made her legs look long and straight. She was wearing a pair of snow boots, which made her look cute and witty. Luqing was a little bit fascinated by her. He took a deep breath and told himself to be generous and not timid. Then he pulled out his hands and walked up to her. He smiled and said, "You seem to arrive early every time." When he got closer, he found that Yenjika was carrying a cute shoulder bag with thin straps. She looked like a student. Yenjika wasn't as open as usual. She lowered her head and smiled. "I hate it when people are late. I put myself in your shoes and arrived early." She hates it when people are late. Luqing remembered this. He turned around and pointed at the school bus. "Just in time. This bus is leaving soon. I've already bought the tickets." "Okay." Yenjika nodded slightly. She seemed a little shy. She quietly followed Luqing. Half a step behind, they boarded the school bus and found seats together. After letting her sit by the window, Luqing cheered himself up to ease the girl's uneasiness. He deliberately said, "It's already so late. Are you hungry?" Yenjika was stunned. She slowly nodded and said, "A little. It takes 20 or 30 minutes to get to the old campus. We have to take a taxi and wait for the food to be served. I'm afraid we can't eat in 50 minutes. Luqing deliberately analyzed. Suddenly he took out a small bag of biscuits from his pocket. I brought you some soda biscuits. You can eat them first so that your stomach won't hurt." Yenjika raised her right hand and covered her mouth. She looked at Luqing in surprise. When she saw the bag of biscuits clearly, her eyes were filled with joy. "Then I'll eat a few pieces first," she said in a low voice, the corner of her mouth curling up unconsciously. Luqing hurriedly helped her open the packaging and handed it to her. Yenjika reached out and took a piece out with her slender fingers. She was about to put it into her mouth when she suddenly stopped and whispered, "I didn't bring water. Eating only biscuits will make me uncomfortable." Luqing smiled and, magically, took out a small bottle of mineral water. He unscrewed the cap and looked straight into her eyes. "I've already prepared it for you." Yenjika's pink lips slightly opened. A layer of hazy mist quickly passed through her beautiful eyes. She turned her head and looked out of the window. Biting her lips, she smiled and said, "I was wondering what you put in your pocket." "So it's these." Watching her eat the biscuits and drink the water delicately, Luqing struck while the iron was hot. He took out his phone and played a video he had downloaded in advance. This is the competition highlights of Hongluo Martial Arts School's principal, Jiang Guosheng. "Coach Yan, what do you think?" The principal of Hongluo Martial Arts School was a professional sixth pin dance stage master named Wang Hui. He was already old. The main force this time was his disciples and disciples. The leader was Jiang Guosheng, a professional ninth pin, his personal disciple, ranked 5th, and 34 years old. Yan Jika leaned her head over and looked at the video with her bright eyes. I studied it seriously last night. According to the information on the internet, the principal of the school, Wang Hui, once had a background in the Longhu Club. Therefore, their boxing obviously has the shadow of the unique skill of the fire sect. They are good at exploding and attacking. They also have the secret burning force. Once hit, the force will explode and cause a burning sensation on the skin. It's somewhat similar to your supernatural ability of blaze, but it doesn't have the tremor force you described. Lu Qing also leaned a little closer to her. Looking at her soft black hair and smelling the refreshing fragrance, he was a little distracted and almost couldn't concentrate. He had to force himself to use the condensation stance and said seriously, their fighting style does have the flavor of a fire-like invasion. Exploding, 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 trying to crush the enemy before they are exhausted. On this point, Jiang Guosheng is more cautious, while Fang Tong is more violent, like an uncontrollable flame. But Jiang Guosheng has mastered a killer move better. It seems that he has compressed the force of his whole body to a very small range before exploding. It has the flavor of Dan's stage. Yan Jika said in high spirits. Her previous nervousness and uneasiness had unknowingly dissipated by more than half. Fang Tong was another professional ninth pin master in Hongluo Martial Arts School. He was the disciple of the principal of the school, Wang Hui. He was a powerful fighter at the age of 23. The Hongluo Martial Arts School team with 2 professional ninth pin masters could be considered average in the preliminaries. They talked about this matter on the way. When they arrived at the old campus, Lu Qing was pleasantly surprised to find that Yan Jika seemed to have returned to normal, except that she would blush occasionally when he stared at her. The two walked in the campus and rushed to the nearest north gate. The online hailing car was waiting there. The spring chill was still there and the wind was very chilly. Lu Qing unconsciously peeked at Yan Jika's left hand. The girl's skin was white and tender, her fingers were long and slender, and her fingernails were pink and healthy. If I hold her hand, will she shake me off? Thump, thump, thump. As this idea suddenly emerged, Lu Cheng's heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Various thoughts flashed in his mind, back and forth. Although she said that she needs to adapt to the state of being in a relationship, since we are already in a relationship, it should be okay to hold her hand, right? Will this make her unhappy? Will she think that I don't respect her and hold her hand before she is ready? Just when he was hesitating, Yan Jika suddenly put her hands into the pockets of her down jacket and said with a smile, "It's still quite cold today." Yeah. Lu Cheng was speechless. Well, no need to struggle. Yan Jika looked at him and asked curiously, "Cheng, what's wrong with you?" "Nothing. I'm just afraid that you will be hungry, so I feel a little guilty." Lu Cheng said his real thoughts, but not the thoughts just now. Yan Jika pursed her lips and smiled, "This is the time I chose." "What does it have to do with you?" While chatting, the two arrived at the north gate. They got on the online hailing car and came to the Ding Shang Spicy Crab. The lunch market ended at 2:30. Lu Cheng had already checked, so he was not worried that he could not make it in time. 6 crabs, the kind that costs 499 yuan. Lu Cheng blurted out the words he had long prepared when he saw the waiter. He did not plan to care about money on the first date. When the waiter was about to record it, Yan Jika pulled Lu Cheng, pursed her lips and said, "Let's go with the 199 yuan one. The taste of crabs is about the same. The bigger the crab, the heavier the shell. It's not worth it. The 199 yuan one is just right. If it's smaller, there won't be much meat in the crab legs." She stared at Lu Cheng with her clear black and white eyes, indicating her opinion. Seeing the girl so insistent, and thinking that her grandfather's family was in Jiangnan, which was a good place to eat crabs, Lu Cheng was not the kind of person who would puff himself up at his own cost. He nodded and said, "Okay, let's go with the 199 yuan one. Let's go with 4 first. Didn't you say that we can eat them as hot pot later?" Didn't you say that their handmade noodles are very good? It's boring to just eat crabs. Yenjika said seriously. Lu Qing thought about it and agreed. So he said with a smile, Coach Yen, you are so comprehensive. Of course. Yenjika raised her chin and smiled. They found a quiet place and sat down. As usual, they chatted about various things. It seemed that they had endless topics to talk about until the waiter brought the spicy crab to them. The aroma filled their nostrils. Lu Qing made a gesture to let Yenjika taste it first. Seeing the girl pick up a piece with a smile and nibble it gently, he suddenly felt a little nervous. He was worried that it would not be to her taste. Yenjika sucked the meat out of the crab leg skillfully. She closed her eyes and said with a smile, it tastes really good. The sweetness of the crab meat is not lost, and the spiciness is very appetizing. Phew. Lu Qing was relieved as if he had been praised. He said with a smile, then you eat more. Don't just watch. You are the main force who can eat 5 yuan of rice. Yenjika joked with a smile. After finishing the spicy crab and rice cake, she was waiting for the hot pot to boil. She asked with great interest, Qing, what kind of fighting style are you going to use tomorrow? Lu Qing had already thought about it. He said after some consideration, if Hongluo Martial Arts School paid attention to this, they would have searched for my name. That is to say, they should know my fighting style and my strengths, except for the power of blaze. Since it's a martial arts competition, I will definitely try my best. I don't want to leave my trump card for the future. So, as long as I fight, I will use the power of blaze to open the way and try to defeat the opponent quickly. When the second opponent loses the element of surprise, I want to pretend to move with mercurial balance. Once I find an opportunity, I will immediately suppress them with 24 blizzard strikes. I won't give them any chance to break out. How could he not try his best in an official competition in front of the girl he loved for the first time? Yenjika rested her cheek on her left hand and listened attentively. Her eyes seemed to be shining. After discussing the fighting style for a while and eating the hot pot, they paid the bill with full hearts. Because of the discount, they spent more than 900 yuan. For Lu Qing, who was rich and generous after participating in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament, it didn't cause any heartache. Instead, he felt that it was worth it. As long as the girl was satisfied. After leaving the restaurant, Lu Qing unconsciously coughed and pretended that nothing had happened. Let's go to the shopping mall over there. It's good for digestion. Okay. Yenjika didn't object. The two of them walked side by side. The girl's scent, which was both clear and musk, entered Lu Cheng's nose, making him feel impulsive and expectant. He took a quick glance at the girl and found that her hands were swaying beside her and not in her pockets. It seemed that she had just finished eating the hot pot and was still warm. Thump, thump, thump. Lu Qing heard his heart beating faster again. Should I hold her hand? She is not completely ready yet. But she likes me a little. She also agreed to my confession. Holding hands should be allowed, right? Thump, thump, thump. Lu Qing wanted to hold her hand but didn't dare to. He was afraid that he would upset the girl and leave a bad impression on her. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. He thought of the method that Kai Zongming had taught him before. Should I try that? Pretend to hold her hand but don't really hold her hand. Thump, thump, thump. This idea completely defeated all other thoughts. Lu Qing couldn't restrain himself anymore. While chatting with Yenjika, he looked straight ahead and slowly reached his right hand to the side. Thump, thump, thump. Thump, thump, thump. Although it was just a fake hand holding, Lu Cheng's heart felt like it was going to jump out of his chest. He didn't know how the girl would react or feel. Because of the unknown, he was nervous. Because of the importance, he was scared. Thump, thump, thump. Thump, thump, thump. Lu Qing swallowed his saliva with difficulty. His right hand was stiff and trembling as he pulled Yenjika's delicate hand. When he touched the back of the girl's hand, he felt that her skin was delicate, smooth, and slightly cold. In his listening skill, he sensed that Yenjika's left hand suddenly shrank, but then froze there. She didn't withdraw her hand, but maintained a slight contact. There seemed to be a ray of light hanging down in Lu Cheng's mind, illuminating all the darkness. He didn't dare to look at Yenjika. He turned his palm over and held her slightly thin hand tightly. He was extremely excited, and nervous. Listening skill can be used in this way. The girl beside him was counting ants with her head down. Lu Cheng held her delicate hand and felt as if he was stepping on clouds. All he could think of was the place where their skin touched. He had completely forgotten what day it was. His palms were sweating because of excitement and nervousness. He just wanted to hold Yenjika's hand like this and walk forever. It would be best if they could never reach the end of the road. He completely ignored the surrounding scenery and the shops they passed. After a long time, Yenjika asked softly, "Where are we going?" Lu Cheng suddenly woke up with a start. He looked around with a dumbfounded expression. "Where are we?" He explained in a panic, I was too excited and nervous. I didn't look at the road, and my palm is sweaty and wet." Yenjika must hate it. Strong annoyance filled his heart. Yenjika glanced at him and suddenly smiled. She pulled back her hand, took off her backpack, and took out a tissue. She handed it to him and said with a smile, "You didn't sweat so much even when you were in the challenge tournament." Lu Cheng took the tissue and wiped the sweat on his right hand. He felt a sense of loss and emptiness. He felt that his performance today was not good enough. They probably wouldn't have the chance to hold hands again. He had to wait for the next time. At this moment, he suddenly felt a softness in his palm. The girl's cold left hand reached over and gently held the edge of his palm. Lu Cheng was wild with joy. He held her hand tightly and looked up. He saw Yenjika turn her head to the other side. Her delicate ears were red and the skin on the side of her face was as smooth as jade. There was a touch of soul-stirring redness. P.S. When I was writing this chapter, a song that I used to listen to often echoed in my mind. The first time I held your hands, I lost my way and didn't know where to go. Ugh, did I reveal my age? P.S. 2. I had something to do today, so I was running around outside. 2 chapters will be released at the same time. There will be no more chapters tonight. But this is a good time to release them at the same time. I wrote the main point of the date and revealed the first opponent of the preliminaries. As for why I didn't release it as an extra chapter, it was because after 2 months of courting death, I successfully ran out of chapters. I'm finished. Chapter 114. Lu Cheng felt that he would never forget the scene in front of him. The girl's shyness occupied his sight and filled his heart. Holding the delicate hand that seemed like it would slip away at any moment, he wanted to say something to express the joy and excitement in his heart, but he forced himself not to. Yenjika plucked up her courage and dared to hold his hand. It was better to let her calm down at this time. The more he said, the more he confessed, the more pressure she would feel. She might even get angry out of embarrassment. An elder said it well, keep quiet and you can make a fortune. Let's go that way. Lu Cheng pretended that nothing had happened and identified the direction, but his right hand that was holding Yenjika's hand tightened and held it firmly. Okay. Yenjika answered in a low voice. Lu Cheng stepped forward happily without looking at her, giving her time to recover. The whole way was as light as a feather, like a couple returning home together. When they arrived at the cake shop he had chosen, they didn't talk much, but their hands unconsciously intertwined. The fresh cream cake here is very good. It's not too sweet and it's not greasy. I think it suits your taste. Do you want to take one back for breakfast tomorrow? Lu Cheng introduced it to Yenjika, trying to encourage her to go in. Yenjika's black and soft eyebrows moved slightly, and she asked in confusion, "How do you know the fresh cream cake here is good?" Lu Cheng wanted to say that he had tasted it, but suddenly he felt that it would make her feel touched. After holding hands with her, any further intention to go further could cause pressure to her. After all, she didn't like him very much and completely let down her guard, completely accepting the relationship. If he pushed too much, it could easily cause problems. So he paused and said, "I checked it on the internet and happened to see it." "Checked it on the internet?" Yenjika repeated in a low voice and looked up at the shop sign, "Mimi Bread." She seemed to be moved by Lu Cheng's description and didn't refuse. She happily entered the shop and chose a fresh cream cake for herself. She also bought 5 pieces of meat floss bread for Lu Cheng. Lu Cheng had mentioned that his favorite bread was meat floss when they talked about snacks on QQ. After paying the bill, Lu Cheng pretended to be calm. He took the girl's hand again and intertwined his fingers with hers. When Yenjika also held his hand, he secretly felt relieved. Feeling the beauty of intertwining fingers, he carried the cake and bread, chatted casually, and led the girl to another predetermined place. "Are you tired? The environment here seems to be quite nice and quiet. Shall we go in and have a seat?" When they arrived, Lu Cheng pretended to be observing and pointed at the coffee shop. He added, "This kind of shop usually has more than just coffee." Yenjika pursed her lips and smiled, showing her dimples. "I thought you would drag me all the way." When she said the word drag, a thin blush appeared on her cheeks. She tried to let her senses leave the place where their skin touched and fingers intertwined. Seeing that the girl had recovered and was in the mood to joke, Lu Cheng became more excited and said self-deprecatingly, "Am I such an inconsiderate person? Who was the one who kept walking all the way until he couldn't recognize the road?" Yenjika's dimples deepened and she laughed in a low voice, mercilessly exposing Lu Cheng's fright just now. I'm so excited." Lu Cheng finally had a chance to express his feelings just now. At the same time, he opened the door of the coffee shop and walked to the secluded booth. When he reached the 4-seater booth, he let go of his delicate hand and watched Yenjika sit down. His palm was empty and he felt a sense of loss. Looking at the seat opposite Yenjika and the seat beside her, Lu Cheng suddenly had a flash of inspiration. He said, "Seriously, you sit in the inner row. Let's sit in the same row. Later, we'll watch other videos of Hongluo Martial Arts School together and ponder over them. I still need to ask Coach Yen to continue her guidance." "Thank you, Master, thank you, friends of Hongluo Martial Arts School. You still remember that I'm Coach Yen," Yenjika joked, but after thinking about it, she stood up and moved to the inner seat. Lu Cheng quickly sat down with her, took the drink and snacks menu from the waiter and opened it in front of Yenjika. This time, he didn't introduce anything because the milk tea in the coffee shop was all right. Yenjika couldn't choose wrong one. As for the snacks, according to her taste, she didn't like chocolate and didn't like the type that was too sweet. The range of choices was naturally limited. Coincidentally, he had tried all of them and found that the quality was above standard. Hong Kong-style milk tea and chiffon cake. Yenjika thought for a while and made her choice. Lu Cheng also ordered a cup of mandarin duck. Then he found a shelf, took out his phone and put it on the table to play the battle highlights of other members of Hongluo Martial Arts School. Seeing that Yenjika was watching seriously, he quietly reached out his right hand and grabbed the girl's delicate hand on her leg. He pulled her close and put her hand on his thigh. Yenjika was shocked at first, then she said with anger and amusement, "Watch carefully." Sitting together to study battle videos and asking Coach Yen to teach him were all excuses. Yes, watch carefully." Lu Cheng stared at the phone screen, but his 5 fingers were tightly intertwined with the girl's slender fingers. He didn't want to part with her at all. The tip of his nose faintly smelled the fragrance that tickled his heart. For a long time after that, the two of them studied videos and talked about battles. From time to time, they would talk nonsense and watch funny things. Before they knew it, more than 2 hours had passed. Other than going to the washroom, their hands never left each other. Recalling the scene of Yenjika's smile just now, Lu Cheng felt that this was the end of his fairy-like days. Unfortunately, happiness was always short-lived. Night would come eventually. Yenjika suddenly found that the sky outside had turned dark. She quickly turned on her phone and looked at the time. Slightly surprised, she said, "It's almost 6 o'clock. Let's go back." "Why don't we go back after dinner?" Lu Qing had visited more than one restaurant, so he took the opportunity to make a suggestion. Yenjika looked up and said wittily, "Let's go back to school. I'll treat you to the cafeteria." "Okay." Lu Qing didn't insist. It was their first date, so they should know when to stop. He closed the funny video and started to book a car. Yenjika took another sip of milk tea and said with satisfaction, "The milk tea in this restaurant is quite good. You can choose any random restaurant and it's so good. You're lucky today." "Hee, how could it be random?" Lu Cheng was satisfied and said with a smile, "No, no, no. Coach Yen, it's your luck. I've used my luck in other places." After saying this, he deliberately shook their intertwined hands. Yenjika blushed and spat. She turned her head and looked to the side. Back to the old campus, the two seemed to have forgotten to let go. Just like this, holding each other's hand, they walked slowly along the road full of ginkgo trees and past the quaint old teaching building. They were already immune to the stares of passers-by. After they got on the school bus and sat for a while, Lu Qing saw the bus start to move. When he was about to say something, he saw Yenjika close her eyes. Her long, black and thick eyelashes were like two small fans, trembling slightly. Her head was nodding. She had already fallen asleep. She had trained for 4 hours. She didn't take a nap before coming out for a date. She played until 6 in the evening. She wasn't as strong as he was, so it was inevitable that she would feel sleepy and tired. Lu Qing looked at her with pity. He held her hand tightly and used a subtle force to change the direction of her fall without waking her up. He pulled her over and let her lean on his shoulder slowly. At the same time, he adjusted his body muscles to sense the movement of the bus. Once the bumpy road was too bumpy, he applied the opposite force to Yenjika to offset it. He wanted her to sleep soundly and not slide down. Her beautiful head was on his shoulder. His nose was filled with a delicate fragrance. Her delicate skin was on his side. Beside his ear was the girl's long and thin breath. Lu Qing only felt peaceful, safe and happy. However, he also felt the weight from her and felt the pressure of wanting her to live a better life. Maybe this is what Dad said about a man's responsibility. The bus drove and arrived at the new campus. Lu Qing pushed Yenjika and laughed in a low voice. "Get up quickly. We're going to be late for the martial arts special training." "Ah." Yenjika's beautiful dark eyes were blank, and her expression made Lu Cheng's heart tremble. Then she came back to herself and said with a blush on her pretty face, "Turn your head around. Turn your head around. Don't move." Lu Cheng was puzzled, but he still looked at the aisle. He heard the girl unzip her backpack, take out a tissue, and wipe the shoulders and arms of his leather jacket. "I see," he blurted out. But before he could finish, he was fiercely interrupted by the girl. "Haven't you seen others drooling in their sleep?" "Humph. Coach Yen drooling in her sleep is so cute." Lu Qing couldn't help but praise from the bottom of his heart. Yenjika snorted. "I don't want to talk to you anymore." Lu Qing smiled and pulled the angry Yenjika out of the car and walked to the cafeteria. Along the way, he observed the girl's reaction. If she felt uncomfortable holding hands in a campus with so many acquaintances, he would let go of her hand. But Yenjika didn't show any signs of pulling back her hand except for her face turning red. After entering the cafeteria, Yenjika took him to the food window first. She took out her meal card and said, "Rice for 2 yuan and 3 yuan." The waiter looked at the two of them in surprise, as if he was observing if they were the representatives of a group of people so that he could decide how many bowls to use to get the rice. Yenjika said innocently, "The guy next to me has a big belly. He eats a lot. Not counting the dishes, he eats 2 yuan of rice." "Pfft. Lu Qing almost burst out laughing. So you've added your own food intake as well? I didn't see it. The waiter sighed. Yenjika snickered and glanced sideways at Lu Qing. She looked a little smug and cheeky. But Lu Qing only felt that she was a feast for the eyes. He just wanted to look at her and was not in the mood to eat. After a long meal, the two of them reluctantly came to the door of Yenjika's dormitory of the third building. Yenjika covered her mouth and yawned. She said with a smile, I didn't take a nap. I feel so tired. Then go back to the dormitory quickly. Go to bed after washing up. Sleep when you're sleepy. Lu Qing said with concern. Yenjika nodded obediently. Then she put on a serious face and said like an old mother, go to bed early after you go back. Don't keep studying videos. You have to strike a balance between work and rest. Don't be tired tomorrow. Do you understand? Lu Qing felt warm in his heart. He snickered and said, got it, Coach Yen. Yenjika almost burst out laughing. She pursed her lips and waved her hand, Qing, see you tomorrow. Lu Qing imitated her words and said seriously, see you tomorrow. Hearing that, Yenjika covered her mouth and chuckled. She turned around and walked 2 steps. Then she stopped and turned back. She smiled shyly and timidly, Qing, I had a very good time today. Without waiting for Lu Qing's reply, she quickened her pace and entered the dormitory like a nimble white rabbit. When she was about to enter the door of the unit, she turned around and looked at Lu Qing, who was still staring blankly at her. She smiled. When Yenjika's back disappeared in the corridor, Lu Qing smiled gently and said in a low voice, I'm also very happy, 100 times happier. In a room on the 2nd floor of Hongluo Martial Arts School, the schoolmaster Wang Hui, whose white hair was tinged with silver, asked the 3 men beside him, have you found any information about Lu Qing of Songqing University Martial Arts Club? The one with no rank. Jiang Guoxing had been practicing martial arts for many years. His appearance, which was not outstanding, had become somewhat masculine. He sat upright and said, we've checked. He's not an ordinary person. He participated in the Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament and made it to the top 8. He can defeat a professional 9th pin fighter after only half a year of practicing martial arts. It shows his talent and strength. He's not better than Lin Kei, but we can't underestimate him. Wang Hui nodded slightly and looked at the other man with a smile, Qingyun, you've met your match. Songqing is big, but also small. There are only a few young people with potential. Jiang Guoxing looked over as well, looking at the young man with sharp eyes. This was the last disciple of his master, Pan Qingyun, who had just turned 20 and practiced martial arts for less than 2 years. He had already reached the level of amateur first pin. But according to the usual practice, he believed that he had already reached the level of professional 9th pin. He was just waiting for the ranking event. In this preliminaries, he was the secret weapon of his martial arts school. He would give Songqing University Martial Arts Club a surprise. A team with 3 professional 9th pin fighters was capable of competing for a place in the division. Pan Qingyun said calmly, I've seen his competition videos. His weaknesses are as clear as his strengths. He's the kind of fighter who can defeat a professional 9th pin fighter if he performs well. But once restrained, he can even lose to an amateur 1st or 2nd pin fighter. I'm sure I can beat him. Chapter 115. Hearing Pan Qingyun's words, Wang Hui nodded slightly and said, it's good to be confident. He turned to Fang Tong as he said, but it's not good to be too confident. You must guard against arrogance and impatience in tomorrow's match. Fang Tong's hair stood up, wantonly and flamboyant. His face was angular and full of vigor. He was the type that even a naughty kid would not dare to make a fuss. He replied with a blank face, yes, Grandmaster. Seeing his attitude, Wang Hui sighed quietly. This grand disciple of his was good at everything, but he was too impatient and too arrogant. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been unable to unify his martial arts. He could release but couldn't take it back. He was only one step away from the dance stage, but he hadn't made any progress for more than 3 years. He had gone from being a slightly famous genius martial artist in Songqing to being the joke of other martial arts clubs. He only hoped that Qing Yun's rapid improvement could put pressure on him and reduce his arrogance and impatience. Looking around, Wang Hui said to Pan Qingyun, "Don't worry. You haven't participated in any official match for more than 3 months, and these 3 months are the period when your improvement is the fastest. Your opponent will definitely not know your details and will still regard you as an amateur first-pin fighter. But you can't be careless because of this. After all, the usual practice with Guosheng and Fang Tong is different from fighting in the ring. You have to adapt and master your improved strength so that you won't be rusty." Before Pan Qingyun could answer, he said with emotion, "This is a good opportunity for our martial arts club. You have to do your best to make a name for yourself." And fame equaled money. The bigger the city, the more hidden and difficult it was for martial arts clubs to gain benefits through their inextricable connections with the underworld. Due to the attention of the public, the focus of attention, and the close supervision of the government, Songqing was much more regulated and lawless than other small cities. Many martial arts clubs did not dare to neglect their own main business. Instead, they maintained their profits and made a fortune by charging high fees from peripheral students and rich disciples. If they were not famous enough, it would be difficult to recruit people. After a long time, it was foreseeable that they would close down or take risks out of desperation. In addition, there was a very important point. Talented and excellent disciples were always in demand. If they were not famous, who would choose your martial arts club to learn martial arts? In today's society, the source of martial artists was actually 2 major selections. The first one was when they graduated from primary school and began to develop. When they were able to practice martial arts, they passed the unified test and were promoted to special martial arts schools. The rest of them went to school normally. After all, a reasonable and well-functioning society undoubtedly needed talents in all aspects. Not only martial artists, but also some professions, such as scientists, were more important than martial artists. After this round of selection, unless one's family was rich and was willing to pay the expensive cost of practicing martial arts, most people would give up on practicing martial arts. They would treat it as a hobby and focus on other aspects. Because of this, Lu Cheng, who had followed this normal path to study, had very few martial arts practitioners around him. Most of them were amateurs. Most of the special martial arts schools were established by the government. Relying on the resources and organizational ability that were better than all the martial arts clubs, they constantly created a large number of martial artists who were not inclined to any force in this way to enrich the military, police, and other violent departments. In view of this, Shangqing Sect, Longhu Club, and other forces also set up their own martial arts schools to train a large number of reserve disciples. Jin Tao, the Invincible Punch, was a student of Juku branch of Haiyuan Martial Arts Academy. However, even though there were many martial arts schools, compared to the number of suitable martial artists, they were still a drop in the bucket. Only the best could be admitted, and there were bound to be cases of missing talents. Some people were even slow to show their talent. They could only slowly show their talent at the age of 14, 15, 17, or 18. This gave the martial arts club a chance to carry out a second round of selection. Martial arts schools were backward when it came to nurturing a large number of martial artists. However, if there were only a few dozen elite disciples, it would be like a sect's master-disciple inheritance, which was better than a martial arts school. Therefore, it had produced many famous experts, which made many young people with dreams abandon the martial arts school without hesitation after they couldn't enter a sect's martial arts society or other big forces. They threw themselves into the arms of martial arts schools. Therefore, the martial arts club, with the talented disciples as the core, even began to pay them a certain amount of salary after they had reached the level of amateur first pin to maintain their strength. Then, through advertising, preliminaries, local challenge tournaments, and other ways to make a name for themselves and attract amateurs and rich disciples. This was not only a monetary gain, but also a chance to find talents who had been buried for various reasons. It was also a way to expand one's network and get other opportunities to make money. On the surface, it was martial arts, but on the inside, it was a business. As a business, it would be strange if they were not interested in the preliminaries that were broadcasted by the local and surrounding TV stations. Who didn't like the advertisements that didn't pay? Humming a pop song, Lu Qing returned to the dormitory. He felt a little tipsy and only felt that everything was wonderful. He couldn't wait to let everyone be as happy as he was. He knocked on the door of the small dormitory next door and was not surprised to see that the rich second-generation Qin Mo and Mao Yuanxing, who had brought his girlfriend, were not there. Only Tang Wen, who was addicted to games, was diligent. He almost forgot the date of last semester's exam because of this. If it weren't for the people around him who reminded him, he would have definitely failed with this ridiculous reason. Of course, without doubt, he still failed 3 subjects and was preparing for the makeup exam at the beginning of the school term. "Where's Talker?" Lu Qing asked. Tang Wen, who was addicted to studying, was stunned. After thinking carefully, he said, "I think he went to the balcony to call his girlfriend." "Oh." Lu Qing calmed down and vaguely heard the sound of voices on the balcony. He thanked him and closed the door so as not to disturb Tang Wen's hard work. When he was about to return to his own small dormitory, he saw the glass door of the balcony open and Kai Zongming walk in with a smile. "Damn weather, it's so cold to make a call." Little Ming exhaled a breath of white air when he closed the door. Lu Qing laughed and said, "Don't you know how to video chat in the dormitory? There are people in the dormitory. Some private words are not convenient to say, you know." Kai Zongming deliberately raised his eyebrows. "Dirty." Lu Qing scolded with a smile. "Bah. You're dirty. I'm talking about mushy words of love. What the hell are you thinking? You've been in a relationship recently, so your blood is rushing down?" Kai Zongming went all out to ridicule Lu Qing. Lu Qing clicked his tongue and said, "Are your words of love not dirty? You're an old hand." After that, he looked around and said in a low voice, "Casanova, tell me if there's a problem with what I'm doing." He briefly explained that Yen Zhika was not ready yet, that she accepted his confession after hesitating, that she needed some time to get used to it, and that he had tried to hold her hand successfully today. In the end, he said, "Is this not showing respect to her thoughts? Is this too reckless and impatient?" Kai Zongming snorted and said, "Who asked you to confess randomly? If you follow my steps, there won't be any problems. But, you did a good job today. You can't follow the pace of a girl in this kind of thing. You must strike while the iron is hot." "Really?" Lu Qing put on the attitude of a serious student. Kai Zongming smiled with his hands in his pockets and said, "The current state of your goddess is like standing on a swamp, unable to resist the temptation of the world of love below. She has already accepted her fate and given up resistance. She is slowly sinking, but she hasn't adjusted her mentality yet. She wants to slow down and gradually get used to it. If you pull her too fast and let her sink too fast, out of fear, uncertainty, and lack of love, it will indeed cause a reverse mentality. It is very likely that she will start to hate you. But you can't do nothing and let her adjust her mentality by herself. First of all, who knows what she will think after she adjusts? Maybe it will be good or bad. Second of all, as time passes, the effect of feelings will weaken. It is very likely that she will calm down and re-examine herself. At that time, if you want to increase her favorability, it will take twice the effort for half the result. She may even say, "I don't think we are suitable for each other, let's break up." So, you have to take advantage of the current situation and close the distance between you and her within the limit to increase her favorability. This is the meaning of strike while the iron is hot. You can't really not get close to her just because she says no. Sometimes, even she herself doesn't know whether she wants it or not. Lu Qing felt that it was better than 10 years of studying. He nodded sincerely. "You are indeed the Casanova," Kai Zongming chuckled and said, "accepting the confession means establishing a relationship. Establishing a relationship means holding hands. She won't be too resistant to this and is mentally prepared for it. However, don't go any further than that for the time being, lest you give her too much pressure and cause the opposite effect. Maintain the current trend of getting closer and closer, step by step, and slowly pull her over. Sigh, you're making this foreign dog jealous. It's a pity that you don't have time to go to the capital this semester. Lu Cheng looked at little Ming sympathetically. Kai Zongming clicked his tongue and said, if I don't go, she can come. I've already succeeded in bewitching her. This time, I don't need to save money. I have a lot of red packets. Awesome. Lu Cheng gave him a thumbs up. By the way, are you ready for tomorrow's competition? As a member of the special training, Kai Zongming asked with concern. Lu Cheng nodded and smiled. Almost. I'll think about it again later. Then I'll help you find some audience. Kai Zongming laughed and suddenly went to Lu Cheng's dormitory. He opened the door and said to Zhao Cheng, Qiu Zhigao, and Zhang Jingye, who were relaxing at home on the weekend, good news. Good news. Cheng is going to represent Songqing University in the competition tomorrow. Let's go cheer together. Represent Songqing University? Cheng. Zhao Cheng looked back in surprise and pushed his black-rimmed glasses. Martial arts competition? Qiu Zhigao turned his head in surprise. Only Zhang Jingye looked confused and didn't seem to understand. Kai Zongming laughed. Yes, martial arts competition. Didn't Coach Shi organize a team to participate in the preliminaries? Cheng is the main force. Tomorrow we will fight against Hongluo Martial Arts School in Songqing. Because of his own arrangement, Qiu Zhigao didn't attend the first 3 martial arts classes, so he knew nothing about it. He stood up abruptly and looked at Lu Cheng behind Kai Zongming in surprise. You're the main force? Isn't this a bit unscientific? No, it's not a bit, it's too unscientific. Without Lu Cheng's explanation, Kai Zongming chuckled and said, Cheng has been recognized as a martial arts genius. Now he has the strength of a professional ninth pin. That day he fought with Lin Kei and lost only because of one move. Professional ninth pin. Qiu Zhigao gasped. As an amateur, he had a deep understanding of the difficulty of rank promotion. It took a newcomer with no rank to reach professional ninth pin in half a year. A martial arts genius? Zhao Cheng looked Lu Cheng up and down, as if he wanted to see something. You didn't know who you were before? Well, I didn't know much about martial arts before, and Coach Shi is a man with a lot of talent. Lu Cheng said casually. Zhao Cheng sighed. Of course, we have to rely on ourselves, but we also have to consider the course of history. The competition is at 3:00 tomorrow afternoon. Are you going to cheer? Kai Zongming asked again. Of course. Why not? We are the masters in our dormitory. How awesome it is. Qiu Zhigao calmed down and said excitedly. Zhang Jingye hesitated and said hesitantly, can I bring someone else? Who? Zhao Cheng asked blankly. Kai Zongming chuckled. Model worker, I didn't expect you to have a girlfriend without anyone knowing about it. Hey, I'm almost there. Zhang Jingye smiled honestly. Damn. Zhao Cheng blurted out and pointed at Zhang Jingye. I understand now. Dogs that don't bark bite. When did you find a girlfriend? Lu Cheng also admired him. He spent so much effort to get Yan Zhika. How did Zhang Jingye get a girlfriend all of a sudden? Last semester, when I came back from self-study, I saw a group of students in the Academy of Arts shooting a Weibo video. I was curious and was invited to be an extra. I met one of the girls, and then we became friends. Zhang Jingye described briefly. After everyone sighed, Zhao Cheng said seriously, model worker, even if you have a girlfriend, you should study hard. You can't indulge in beauty. By the way, when will they shoot a Weibo video? Poof. Everyone burst into laughter and the atmosphere was quite warm. After washing up, Yan Zhika climbed into her small bed and leaned against the minion. She covered herself with the quilt and unlocked her phone. She smiled unconsciously and was about to reply to Lu Cheng's message on QQ when she suddenly remembered something. She opened the browser and entered the search page. Mimi bread. She entered the name of the bakery and wanted to see if the fresh cream cake was as good as Lu Cheng said. In the blink of an eye, the search result came out. Yen Jika was a little surprised. Because there was no search result of Mimi bread, only related adjectives. Search on the internet. Yen Jika seemed to understand something. She lifted the quilt and climbed down. She opened the fresh cream cake on the desk and tasted it. It's not too sweet, but it's just right. Yen Jika sat there in a daze, twirling her hair with her left hand and shaking the spoon with her right hand. Her dimples were vaguely visible as she gazed at the cake with tenderness. Chapter 116. The next day, after the morning exercise, Lu Qing finished the meat floss bread and soy milk in the cafeteria. He was very satisfied, as if he was enjoying a bento made with love. Stepping into the martial arts arena, he looked at the scattered crowd and automatically found Yen Jika's figure. The girl happened to look at him too. Their eyes met and they smiled at each other, sweet and warm. Biting her lower lip, Yen Jika unbuttoned the pocket of her martial arts suit and took out her cell phone. Lowering her head, she ran her fingers through her hair and tapped on the screen quickly. Beep. A QQ message came from Lu Cheng's pocket. He took it out with a smile and unlocked it. Sure enough, it was from the girl. The fresh cream cake is delicious. Yen Jika said. As long as you are satisfied. Lu Cheng was full of a sense of achievement. The meat floss bread you picked is also great. Yen Jika sent an emoji of a panda scratching its head. Just that I had to brush my teeth one more time. Why did you brush your teeth one more time? Lu Cheng sent a confused emoji. Guess. I'm going to put my things away. Yen Jika turned off her phone, looked up and smiled. She went to the women's locker room with Guo Qing to lock her mobile phone and other belongings and clothes in her closet. Guess. Did she eat too much sweets and brush her teeth one more time? Or did she eat more sweets after brushing her teeth last night? But she didn't mention this when we were chatting. Lu Cheng let his imagination run wild and stepped into the men's locker room. Because there was a competition in the afternoon, the intensity of the special training was reduced to maintain the condition. In the end, the sparring was cancelled. Geyser gathered all the members together and curled his lips. Songqing University is so stingy. They only gave us a little subsidy. If it were a better martial arts club, they would have all kinds of sparring partners for targeted training before the competition. But for us, we can only rely on our mouths. If the members of the martial arts club were sparring partners, they would not be targeted because of their similar kung fu characteristics. It would be great if there was a superpower that could create a corresponding figure just by talking. Kai Zongming muttered softly. Lu Qing glanced at him and laughed in a low voice. Then you would be rich. Who can compete with the talker? Unfortunately, the heavens didn't give me a chance. Kai Zongming sighed regretfully. Geyser coughed twice and said, those kids who are not the main players and substitutes of the preliminaries can leave now. Those who are willing to watch the match can wait at the bus stop at 1:30. Li Xiaowen, this is an away game, so there won't be many spectators. You don't have to organize the cheers. Just help us prepare the logistics. After Yen Jika was promoted to a substitute for the preliminaries, her former cheerleading duties were handed over to her senior, Li Xiaowen. After the other members of the special training left, Geyser said, have you all seen the materials and videos related to Hongluo Martial Arts School? I'll explain it to you briefly and analyze the strategy. You can think about it on your own on the way. Generally speaking, for different opponents, there would be targeted training 2 or 3 days before the match. However, the specific strategy and arrangement would definitely be put in the locker room before the match. This was to prevent spies from betraying information and being controlled by others. The higher the level of the competition, the stricter the security in this aspect. Geyser didn't care about the first stage of the preliminaries at all. He also didn't think that Hongluo Martial Arts School would make a fuss about it. Therefore, he explained it in advance to give the green kids enough time to digest it. Seeing that everyone's attention was focused, he laughed and said, "Hongluo Martial Arts School is just like this. You don't have to be too nervous. Just follow my arrangement and you have a great chance of winning." You've seen from the videos that Hongluo Martial Arts School's strategy is derived from the unique skill of the fire sect, called fire-like invasion. It emphasizes momentum and explosion. If they explode to the extreme, they have the power of a professional 7th or 8th pin Dan stage fighter. However, this level of explosion can't be used at will. They have to adjust their situation bit by bit and receive feedback time and time again. They have to let their body gradually compress and accumulate power like a spring. Therefore, the core of this strategy is to use small explosions to promote a higher level of explosion. They accumulate power step by step until they reach the extreme. Generally speaking, after 8 explosions, the 9th attack will be an invincible attack for those below the Dan stage. However, they are still humans, not living gods. After one round of explosion, they will basically wither. It's like a burning flame that continues to ignite other things and becomes fiercer and fiercer. When it burns everything around it, it will extinguish itself. From this point of view, this is a strategy that is quite suitable for a life and death battle. The winner will be decided in a few moves. After analyzing up to this point, you must be thinking, then let's fight with a wandering battle and exhaust them until they are exhausted. However, for those who choose this strategy, unless they are extremely agile and are extremely good at wandering battle, when Hongluo Martial Arts School explodes a few times with terrifying speed and agility, their range of movement will be quickly reduced and they will fall into an awkward situation where they can't escape. Lu Qing nodded slightly. He had a deep understanding of this. In the battle with Yi Yaoting and the 9th pin of the Dark Sect, he had tried to fight with a wandering battle with mercurial balance. However, he was either forced to fight head-on or had no chance to fight at all. Geyser coughed a few times and got to the point. For this strategy, the best way to deal with it is to fight head-on. You have to disrupt their explosive rhythm and suppress their momentum so that their explosions will become more and more unsatisfactory. He explained in detail how to disrupt their rhythm and suppress their momentum. Lu Qing and the others listened with great interest. Before they knew it, it was already noon. After lunch and a short rest, Lu Qing arrived at the school bus station on time and boarded a school bus specially arranged by the logistics department. Yan Zhika was too shy to sit in the same row with him in front of so many acquaintances. She pulled Guoqing and found a seat for themselves. Lu Qing had to sit behind them with little Ming. He didn't speak much on the way and began to adjust his state of mind and state. When they arrived, he opened his eyes. "Hey, Cheng, Chang and the others have good luck with women." Kai Zongming held his phone and tactfully didn't speak. Instead, he typed a line of words and sent it to Lu Qing through QQ. Lu Qing replied in surprise, "Why?" Model worker only wanted to ask his girlfriend out. However, the girls in his girlfriend's dormitory heard about it and were very interested. They also want to come and have a look. Later, they will set off with Chang and Old Xiu. Kai Zongming sent the message while looking at Lu Qing with a mischievous expression. "Not bad, such a good thing." Lu Qing replied quickly. He put his phone in his pocket and was ready to stand up. They had arrived at their destination. Hongluo Martial Arts School was located on the ground floor of a building. It was a quiet place amidst the bustle and the environment was quite good. Lu Qing observed the situation. When Guoqing walked into the aisle, he suddenly stood up and squeezed forward. He happened to be right next to Yan Zhika. He looked forward, as if nothing had happened, and stretched out his hand to pull the girl's delicate palm. Yan Zhika was surprised at first and then looked at Lu Qing. She saw a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. He turned his head and winked at her. She felt funny and angry at the same time. She blushed slightly and pretended that nothing had happened. She held his hand back and hurriedly withdrew it. She looked around and found that no one had noticed. Then she felt an indescribable sweetness. Lu Cheng, who was also feeling sweet, followed the team full of strength and stepped into the gate of Hongluo Martial Arts School. The martial arts school definitely couldn't compete with Songqing University Martial Arts Club. It was only about the size of 2 lecture halls. There were also locker rooms, strength training rooms and other places. It was enough to teach students martial arts on normal days, but it was too cramped to hold preliminaries. At this moment, the bluestone floor in the center of the martial arts hall was still left as the arena. The surroundings were covered with tatami mats for the audience to sit cross-legged and watch. There were empty aisles on all sides, which vaguely had a Japanese-style flavor. Fortunately, there are not many audience members. Otherwise, how can we sit? Kai Zongming clicked his tongue. He didn't have the chance to enter the locker room. He found the tatami mats for the away team, took off his shoes, and sat in a kneeling position. Not far from him, Xu Rui led the team and nervously arranged the live broadcast in an orderly manner. After the schedule of preliminaries was arranged on Friday, the first thing Songqing TV station did was to determine which matches would be broadcast live and which would be recorded. For the TV stations in other cities, this wasn't worth considering, because there were only 1 or 2 teams participating in the competition, and the times might not overlap. Songqing, as the provincial capital, had attracted many talents. There were more than 20 teams that had signed up for the preliminaries. Just the selection alone would dazzle the audience. In a television station of this level, competitions with lower professional ranks were actually quite popular. To the audience, although the 3 lower ranks professional martial artists were not strong enough, they appeared to be friendly and were not too inhuman. Every punch was on the flesh, and it was quite intense. It could stir up the blood in their hearts. Correspondingly, the confirmation of live broadcasts and recordings naturally had to be considered carefully. Xu Rui participated in the meeting as a reporter for Songqing University Martial Arts Club. She said that Lu Cheng and Lin Kei of Songqing University Martial Arts Club were both very interesting and suitable for live broadcast. In the end, the leader of the TV station accepted her idea. At this moment, seeing Lin Kei and Lu Cheng come in, Xu Rui had the urge to say a few words to them. However, according to the rules, they couldn't come into contact with the fighters for half a day before the competition to avoid affecting their state of mind. They could only interview them after the competition. Lu Cheng and the others went all the way to the locker room. They changed into their white martial arts suits with black edges in the cubicles and gathered around Geyser again. I've said what I should say before, so there's nothing to add. Take the time to rest and restore your energy. Geyser coughed and asked everyone to find a place to rest. 2:50 p.m., in the locker room of Hongluo Martial Arts School. Wang Hui glanced at Jiang Guosheng, Fang Tong, and Pan Qingyun, who all had different expressions, and smiled slightly. Qingyun, you'll be the last one to come out. Give them a surprise, but maybe it won't be your turn, so we'll leave the surprise for later. Fang Tong, you'll be the vanguard. Make sure you win at the start. Guosheng, you'll be the second. If anything happens, you'll be responsible for stabilizing the situation. Yes, Master, Grandmaster. The 3 professional 9th pin fighters answered in unison. Wang Hui nodded with satisfaction. He pointed outside the locker room and said loudly, "Go, show your strength and elegance." In the Songqing University Martial Arts Club, Geyser clapped his hands to wake everyone up. He smiled seriously, which was rare for him. The first battle, Lu Cheng. I'll be the first. Lu Cheng was not nervous. Instead, he trembled with excitement. He secretly glanced at Yan Zhika, only to see that she was also looking at him and making a gesture of encouragement. Geyser continued, "Lu Cheng, you'll be the first one to come out. Test their strength. If anything happens, Lin Kei will be behind you. Don't worry. Lin Kei, watch the battle carefully and know what to do. Sun Jian, you'll be the last one to come out. Maybe you can take advantage of their exhaustion. Okay, let's go out. Lu Cheng and the others looked at each other. No one organized, and no one led them. Suddenly, they opened their mouths and shouted together, "Victory!" After shouting, Lu Cheng took the lead and walked out in a line. In front of them were the audience sitting on the tatami, the arranged cameras, and the enemies coming out of the locker room opposite them. P.S. I'll be updating in advance on Monday. I'll be saving my manuscripts tomorrow. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.